Do you love novels, but don't have time to read thousands of chapters? Imagine listening to your favorite stories anytime, anywhere, while driving, working, or relaxing. Here, you'll find premium audiobooks from Pocket FM, Audible, Webnovel, Wuxia, and more, all in one place. Every novel is a one-time payment, no subscriptions, no monthly fees, lifetime access. The full novel list and prices are in the description below. Once you choose a novel, just DM me on Telegram, WhatsApp, or Discord. After payment via PayPal, Ko-fi, or Patreon, you get permanent access to the audiobook on Telegram. And if the novel is ongoing, all future updates are included. Check the description, pick your story, and start listening today. Before we start the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Enjoy, and let's go.
Chapter 1, New Fanfic. Super-dimensional transmigration system activated. Current world, Demon Slayer world. Starting bonus issued, Demon Slayer Sword X1 Demon Spirit contract signed, obtaining Demon Spirit Devourer. Demon Spirit Devourer. Those who possess this ability can nourish their contracted demon spirit by consuming demons, allowing the holder to borrow even more powerful demon spirit power from the demon spirit. Current Demon Spirit Devourer level, F rank. Core mission issued, help Nezuko return to being human. Note, the mission will be considered failed if the target dies. Mission completion reward, obtain permanent use of the super-dimensional transmigration system, obtain 1% dimensional wall power, unlock the next dimensional world. Mission failure penalty, this dimensional transmigration will end immediately, the system will conduct humane treatment on the host. A dense and rapid mechanical voice echoed in Ryaji's mind. Before he could figure out what was happening, Ryaji found himself tumbling into the snow. Thankfully, Ryaji landed in the soft snow. Otherwise, that fall would have been quite a shock. Ryaji rolled over and stood up from the snow. Dressed in thin clothes, he shivered violently and sneezed. What's going on? Is this heaven? What was that voice in my head just now? Ryaji looked around in confusion, muttering to himself. Demon Slayer world? Could it be the world where humans and demons coexist, where demons eat people? Isn't that an anime? Ryaji suddenly felt a pang of fear. He had somehow transmigrated into the world of an anime. As an anime fan, Ryaji knew about the Demon King, Muzan Kibutsuji, in this world. This guy had the ability to turn humans into demons. Anyone who came into contact with his blood would instantly become a man-eating demon, completely falling into the demon path and becoming his pawn. What a twist of fate. He had been given a new life. Just as Ryaji was pondering what was going on, a flash of light suddenly appeared above his head. A black and purple demon slayer sword sliced through the air, emitting a piercing sound as it fell down. Feeling the chill on his head, Ryaji quickly looked up. He instinctively took a few steps back. Since he was standing in thick snow, his footing became unstable as he retreated, causing him to fall on his backside. The next moment, the Demon Slayer sword plunged into the snow in front of Ryaji's crotch. Ryaji was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Oh my god. Almost became a eunuch. Ryaji thought to himself. Current main mission issued, prevent Tomioka Jiua from killing Nezuko. Mission failure penalty, this dimensional transmigration will end immediately, the system will conduct humane treatment on the host. Mission completion reward, obtain water breathing technique, mastery. Mission-related character introduction. Tomioka Jiua, one of the 9 Hashira of the Demon Slayer Corps, the Water Hashira, inheritor of water breathing, incredibly strong. Nezuko, an innocent girl who became a demon due to Muzan Kibutsuji's blood. As the broadcast from the super-dimensional transmigration system echoed in his mind once again, Ryaji looked at the Demon Slayer sword in front of his crotch, slowly piecing together his thoughts. Finally realizing what was happening, Ryaji quickly stood up and grabbed the Demon Slayer sword. By now, Ryaji had noticed a small map appearing in his vision. Below the map was a countdown timer. The time was ticking away, second by second, and soon only 3 minutes remained. Knowing he didn't have much time, Ryaji cursed under his breath and stopped thinking further. He would deal with this time-limited mission first. Immediately, following the map's directions from the super-dimensional transmigration system, Ryaji ran towards the mission location. Not long after he started running, Ryaji's breathing became labored, and he was panting heavily. Just as Ryaji was feeling uncomfortable, dark purple, tattoo-like patterns began to appear on his body. The most obvious change was on Ryaji's right hand, which was holding the Demon Slayer sword. For more stories visit my Patreon account. 2. Chapter 2. Ryaji's right hand, at first glance, could no longer be considered a normal human hand. It looked like a demon's hand, especially the finger joints, which protruded with sharp exoskeletons. Then, the skin of Ryaji's right hand turned crimson red, with dark purple veins etched onto the red skin, looking incredibly demonic. Dark purple veins also appeared on Ryaji's face, and his originally normal eyes had also changed. The white of his eyes turned black, and his black pupils turned purple. Even his originally black hair turned purple in an instant. Of course, Ryaji couldn't see the changes on his face. The most obvious change he could see was the transformation of his right hand. As the transformation completed, a purple mist gathered behind Ryaji, following him closely. Ryaji felt as if his body had gained immense strength. In the next second, his speed increased several notches, and he turned into a purple lightning bolt, dashing through the white expanse of the snowy mountains. Is this the added ability of the demon spirit devourer? Ryaji thought to himself, this was practically a cheat code. I know, if I had arrived half a day earlier, your family might not have died. But time cannot be reversed. Awaken. Let this intense and pure anger become the unwavering driving force for your growth. Relying on a fragile heart alone cannot protect or heal your sister, nor can it avenge your family. As Tomioka Jiwa thought to himself, looking at Tanjiro, he slowly raised the Nichiren sword in his hand. Seeing Tomioka Jiwa's action, Tanjiro, who was kneeling in the snow, knew he was going to kill his sister Nezuko. He instantly became incredibly nervous. Tomioka Jiwa didn't pay attention to Tanjiro's emotions. In the next second, he plunged the Nichiren sword into Nezuko's chest, which he was holding. No, stop. Tanjiro cried out, his body reacting as well. He picked up a stone from the snow and threw it at Tomioka Jiwa. Tomioka Jiwa parried Tanjiro's stone attack with the hilt of his sword. In an instant, his pupils contracted, and his face suddenly changed. The sudden turn of events startled Tomioka Jiwa. What surprised Tomioka Jiwa wasn't the stone Tanjiro threw, but Ryaji, who arrived at the critical moment. Ryaji, who made a dramatic entrance at the crucial moment, acted decisively. After all, with the demon spirit devourer's power, even if he couldn't kill Tomioka Jiwa, stopping him from killing Nezuko should be no problem. Plus, his surprise attack would definitely increase his chances of success. Tanjiro was also stunned by the sudden turn of events. He had been about to grab the axe and fight Tomioka Jiwa when he froze in place. At this moment, Ryaji's Demon Slayer sword was clashing against Tomioka Jiwa's Nichiren sword. The two weapons met, sparks flying. Tanjiro looked at the demonic-looking Ryaji and carefully sniffed him. After carefully discerning, Tanjiro didn't smell the scent of the demon who had killed his family on Ryaji. This made Tanjiro a little disappointed. He had thought Ryaji might be the demon who had killed his family. For more chapter visit my Patreon. 3. Chapter 3. Tomioka Jiwa's eyes also landed on Ryaji. Looking at Ryaji, who appeared incredibly demonic, Tomioka Jiwa subconsciously treated him as a demon. Of course, Ryaji didn't know that he was being mistaken for a demon by Tomioka Jiwa. Right now, there was only one thing Ryaji needed to do, which was to protect Nezuko from Tomioka Jiwa's hands. Because Nezuko's life and death also mattered to Ryaji's own life. Although Ryaji had already come to terms with his life, he didn't want to be inexplicably subjected to so-called humane treatment by the system. Even if he had to die, he wanted to die clearly, at least leave a whole body for his family. He didn't want to die in this foreign world. Don't touch this girl. Ryaji said coldly to Tomioka Jiwa. Tomioka Jiwa also looked at Ryaji coldly and asked, "Did Muzan Kibutsuji send you?" Hearing this, Ryaji naturally couldn't understand what Tomioka Jiwa was saying. He was a super-dimensional transmigrator, how could he be someone subordinate? I'm just a passing demon slayer. Anyway, you can't kill this girl. Ryaji gave himself the identity of a kind-hearted demon slayer. Water breathing, first form, water surface slash. As soon as Ryaji finished speaking, Tomioka Jiwa unleashed a water-breathing technique, instantly delivering a horizontal slash towards Ryaji's Demon Slayer sword. Ryaji was knocked back and slid several meters. He didn't immediately launch an attack because he felt that Tomioka Jiwa's killing intent had temporarily subsided. It seemed his words had caught Tomioka Jiwa's attention. Demon Slayer? You're not a demon. Are you also here to hunt demons? Tomioka Jiwa had never heard the term Demon Slayer before. From the literal meaning, it should be similar to Demon Hunter. However, Tomioka Jiwa had never seen such a demonic-looking demon hunter. This appearance was simply impossible to treat as a normal human. As one of the 9 Hashira of the Demon Slayer Corps, Tomioka Jiwa, who had been dealing with demons for years, was naturally very familiar with them. So, without confirming the truth of Ryaji's words, Tomioka Jiwa had already analyzed and compared the aura around Ryaji. The result indeed surprised Tomioka Jiwa. The aura around Ryaji wasn't that of a demon, but a kind he had never encountered before. Demon? I'm not that kind of man-eating monster. I'm just a kind-hearted passerby. Ryaji scoffed. After speaking, Ryaji looked at Tomioka Jiwa. Seeing that he was still very cautious, Ryaji continued, demons are afraid of sunlight. Whether I'm a demon or not will be verified naturally later. Right now, what you need to do is give that girl a chance to live. Since you're a demon slayer who kills demons, you should know how dangerous demons are. If I let her go, it's like letting more innocent people get hurt. Tomioka Jiwa reminded Ryaji righteously. My sister won't eat people, I promise. You have to believe me. Tanjiro spoke up at this time, vouching for his sister. However, Tomioka Jiwa just glanced at Tanjiro indifferently and didn't pay any attention to him. Finally, Tomioka Jiwa turned his gaze back to Ryaji. He wanted to know why Ryaji insisted on him letting Nezuko go. Hearing this, Ryaji fell silent for a while. He didn't know how to explain to Tomioka Jiwa. He couldn't say, if you kill her, it's like killing me. For more chapters visit my Patreon. 4, Chapter 4. She's different from other demons. She has the potential to become human again, so you can't kill her. Ryaji explained. Hearing this, both Tomioka Jiwa and Tanjiro were surprised. Of course, the most delighted one was Tanjiro. After all, Nezuko was her only remaining family member, and Tanjiro naturally wanted his sister to become human again. Really? Senior? Can you really make my sister human again? Tanjiro, as if grasping the last lifeline, asked eagerly. Ryaji didn't answer Tanjiro immediately. His attention was on Tomioka Jiwa, because Nezuko was still in his hands. If he wasn't careful, this guy might really take the opportunity to kill Nezuko. On the other hand, Tomioka Jiwa, although Ryaji's words surprised him, he still couldn't believe it. If there was really a way to make a demon human again, how could the Demon Slayer Corps, which had been fighting demons for hundreds of years, not know about it? So Tomioka Jiwa still had doubts about Ryaji's words. But seeing Ryaji so confident and speaking as if it were true, Tomioka Jiwa asked, "Tell me your method." Hearing this, Ryaji secretly sighed. This Tomioka Jiwa was really tough. Of course, Ryaji didn't know how to make a demon human. The reason he said that was entirely based on his analysis of the mission. Since the mission required him to make Nezuko human, it meant that it wasn't an impossible task. If there was really no way to make Nezuko human, it would conflict with the mission issued by the system. Such a powerful system would obviously not have such a low-level bug. I'm still researching it. Don't worry, with me watching, she absolutely won't eat people. If you don't believe me, just release this girl now and see if she'll eat this kid. After all, he said his sister won't eat people, so let him see for himself whether his sister will eat people. If this girl attacks, even if I lose, you can kill this girl later, and this kid won't be able to refute your actions. If this girl doesn't attack, then I win, and you have to release this girl. Ryaji said calmly, as if everything was under his control. Tomioka Jiwa didn't expect Ryaji to play such a gamble with him. He had a big heart. But using an innocent person as bait, Tomioka Jiwa felt it was a bit inhumane. Ryaji knew Tomioka Jiwa was hesitating, so he turned his attention to Tanjiro and said, "Kid, it's time for you to be a hero. If you believe your sister won't eat people, then agree to this gamble." Tanjiro, who was suddenly called out, was taken aback. When he realized what was happening, he immediately agreed to the gamble Ryaji had set, because Tanjiro believed his sister wouldn't eat people. "Okay. I believe in Senior, and I believe in my sister," Tanjiro said confidently. Seeing Tanjiro agree, Ryaji's gaze swept back to Tomioka Jiwa, then gave him a look to release Nezuko. However, Tomioka Jiwa hesitated again and didn't immediately release Nezuko. "With your abilities, Are you afraid you can't save that kid? At most, just let the kid learn a lesson. Ryaji said again. This time, Tomioka Jiwa slowly released Nezuko. Nezuko, who had been released, immediately flashed in front of Tanjiro. Seeing this situation, both Tomioka Jiwa and Ryaji couldn't help but become nervous. Both were afraid that Nezuko would really attack Tanjiro. For advanced chapter visit my P at Trian. 5, Chapter 5. The reason Ryaji was afraid was because he was afraid of losing the gamble. If he did, he would have to fight Tomioka Jiwa and forcibly take the girl away. Therefore, Ryaji was constantly prepared to snatch the girl away at any moment. Although doing so would mean breaking his word, compared to his own life, breaking his word once was nothing. After all, it wasn't something that harmed heaven or earth. Nezuko, it's me. It's Tanjiro. Tanjiro, facing Nezuko with a ferocious expression, didn't show any fear. Instead, he tried to awaken Nezuko's humanity with words. Nezuko looked at Tanjiro for a while, then turned to Tomioka Jiwa and made a threatening gesture towards him. Tomioka Jiwa was shocked by Nezuko's action of protecting Tanjiro. His heart skipped a beat. Just as Tomioka Jiwa was momentarily distracted, Nezuko launched an attack on him. Stop it, Nezuko. Tanjiro was also startled by Nezuko's actions and shouted. Ryaji didn't expect Nezuko to attack Tomioka Jiwa instead of Tanjiro. This girl was really fearless. Ryaji was also afraid that things would develop uncontrollably, so he flashed behind Nezuko and knocked her unconscious with a hand chop. Ryaji caught the unconscious Nezuko. Her soft body made him startled. This was the first time Ryaji had ever held a girl. Although Nezuko was now a female demon, it didn't affect the softness of her body. Tomioka Jiwa, you lost. Remember to keep your promise. Unexpectedly, after Ryaji finished speaking, he felt his whole body go limp, his eyes went black, and he fainted. Ryaji's faint caused the unconscious Nezuko to fall on top of him. Tomioka Jiwa didn't expect Ryaji to faint. He was a bit baffled by this strange guy. Ryaji, who fainted in the snow, gradually lost his demonification, and his appearance gradually returned to normal. Seeing this change, Tomioka Jiwa was surprised again. He thought Ryaji's appearance was like that before, but it turned out it wasn't. Tanjiro didn't expect Ryaji to faint either, so he was a bit helpless and crawled in front of Ryaji and Nezuko. At this time, Tomioka Jiwa also walked over. He stood aside, overlooking Ryaji, who was gradually losing his demonification. When Ryaji's true appearance appeared before the two of them, Tomioka Jiwa and Tanjiro were both surprised. Ryaji was also a young man. Looking at Ryaji, who was about the same age as him, Tanjiro couldn't help but feel a little admiration. If he hadn't stepped in to help, his sister might have suffered a terrible fate. At this time, Tomioka Jiwa also squatted down and carefully examined Ryaji. After examining him for a while, Tomioka Jiwa didn't find anything unusual. His aura was that of a human. Reluctantly, Tomioka Jiwa helped Nezuko up. Seeing this, Tanjiro became nervous. After all, Tomioka Jiwa had wanted to kill Nezuko before. What are you trying to do? Are you going to break your promise? Tanjiro asked. Tomioka Jiwa glanced at Tanjiro indifferently and said, no. After saying that, he went about his own business. Tomioka Jiwa used his Nichiren sword to cut down a bamboo stalk. Then, he selected a bamboo tube of the right size and made a muzzle to prevent Nezuko from biting. Finally, Tomioka Jiwa put the muzzle on Nezuko's mouth. After doing this, Tomioka Jiwa returned to Ryaji's side. He quickly used his Nichiren sword to make a cut on his index finger. The sharp blade easily cut a gash on his index finger, and blood flowed out immediately. 6, Chapter 6. Tomioka Jiwa held his bleeding finger in front of Ryaji's face. Due to gravity, the blood dripped onto Ryaji's mouth. After about tens of milliliters of blood, the bleeding stopped. Then, Tomioka Jiwa's face became serious. Would Ryaji react to the blood? If he did, then Ryaji was undoubtedly a demon. If not, then he was just a special human. Time passed by second, and Ryaji still didn't react at all. After confirming Ryaji's situation, Tomioka Jiwa finally felt relieved. Tanjiro didn't come closer, but stayed by his sister Nezuko's side. Although he didn't go forward to monitor Tomioka Jiwa's every move, Tanjiro still saw what Tomioka Jiwa was doing. After an unknown amount of time, Ryaji's scream broke the silence of the snowy mountain. Tomioka Jiwa instantly became alert. At this moment, Ryaji was in excruciating pain all over his body, as if his flesh and internal organs were being devoured. This caused Ryaji to roll around in the snow. In just a few seconds, he went into a frenzy, and his shirt was torn to shreds. His bare upper body was scarlet red, looking like he had just crawled out of blood. Tanjiro was completely terrified by Ryaji's current state and showed a look of fear on his face. Tomioka Jiwa had never seen such a situation before. He didn't know what was going on in his heart. Blood! Ryaji roared with a low voice. Hearing this, Tomioka Jiwa was startled. Blood! Could it be that Ryaji was starting to demonize? But when did it happen? Quick! Give me demon blood! I need demon blood! Ryaji, suppressing the intense discomfort in his body, said to Tomioka Jiwa while he still had a sliver of sanity. Ryaji never expected that this demonification had such a side effect. Each use required demon blood to nourish the demon spirit within his body. What a damn scam. Fortunately, it wasn't human blood, otherwise, he would have been mistaken for a demon. He didn't know if Tomioka Jiwa could understand him at this crucial moment. Bro, you have to be awesome this time, no matter what. Otherwise, I'm really going to lose it. Demon blood? Tomioka Jiwa was even more confused. Ryaji actually wanted demon blood. What kind of operation was this? Just as Tomioka Jiwa was puzzled, Ryaji urged again, hurry up. What are you hesitating for? After speaking, the frenzied Ryaji punched the ground. The accumulated snow flew into the air under the force of the blow. Seeing this, Tomioka Jiwa knew he couldn't hesitate any longer. He looked at Nezuko, because she was the only demon present, and the only demon blood available to Ryaji was Nezuko's. After thinking quickly, Tomioka Jiwa made a decision. He grabbed Nezuko and threw her towards Ryaji. Tomioka Jiwa's movements were too fast. Tanjiro had no ability to stop him and could only watch helplessly as his sister was thrown away. Immediately, Tanjiro wanted to run over and grab Nezuko back, but he was stopped by Tomioka Jiwa. The situation was unclear. If Tanjiro went over, it would be like sending him to his death. Since this guy didn't let me kill your sister, he won't kill your sister either. Tomioka Jiwa said to Tanjiro. Chapter 7. As soon as Nezuko was thrown, Ryaji's keen senses noticed it. He leaped up, caught Nezuko, and finally couldn't resist biting her neck, leaving a scarred strawberry mark. Ryaji didn't dare to suck Nezuko's blood without restraint. If he sucked her dry, he would also go with her. With the help of Nezuko's blood, Ryaji gradually recovered. His blood-red skin gradually faded. Seeing that he was starting to get better, Ryaji stopped sucking. Just as he moved his mouth away, he saw that Nezuko had woken up at some point and was staring at him with a dazed expression. Ryaji was startled and immediately pushed Nezuko away, becoming a little nervous. After a long time, Ryaji realized his rude behavior and coughed a few times. He changed to a more serious tone and said, "Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I had to suck your blood. Don't mind it." After saying that, Ryaji realized that Nezuko was a demon, so he bowed to her in a strange way. After Ryaji did all this, Nezuko still stared at him with a dazed expression, like a wooden doll. Ryaji didn't want to bother with Nezuko for now, so he patted himself and stood up. The recovered Ryaji shivered violently. It was damn cold. This was the first time he had been shirtless in the snow. "Hey kid, quickly take off your clothes and give me something to wear." Ryaji called out to Tanjiro. Now, the only person he could call out to was Tanjiro. Tomioka Jiwa, this guy, looked like he was on the high cold route, so Ryaji naturally wouldn't dare to order him around. Tanjiro, who reacted quickly, took off his coat and ran to Ryaji, handing the coat to him. "Thanks." Ryaji simply thanked him and took the coat, putting it on. Seeing Ryaji put on the coat, Tanjiro couldn't help but look at Nezuko, who was standing aside. "Is my sister okay?" Tanjiro asked Ryaji. Ryaji waved his hand and said, "She's fine. I just sucked a little of her blood. Don't worry." Hearing Ryaji's answer, Tanjiro finally felt relieved. At this time, Tomioka Jiwa walked over and asked Ryaji, "What was going on just now? Why did you need demon blood?" Hearing this, Ryaji looked at Tomioka Jiwa and said in the same posture as him, "My body is special. Every time I activate that state, I need demon blood. That's also why I became a demon slayer." "What would happen if you didn't get demon blood?" Tomioka Jiwa continued to ask. Ryaji smiled and then said, I would be tortured endlessly by the demon spirit until death. Hearing this, Tomioka Jiwa had truly seen it all. There were actually such strange people in the world, living off of demons. Since you live off of demons, why did you save a demon? Tomioka Jiwa asked in confusion. You saw her situation. It's very special. Maybe she can help me get rid of the demon spirit. Ryaji found an excuse to say. The real meaning of Ryaji's words, that Nezuko could help him get rid of the demon spirit, was actually that as long as he completed the mission, he could move on to the next world. Because Ryaji didn't particularly like the current world. 8. Chapter 8. Current main mission, prevent Tomioka Jiwa from killing Nezuko. Mission complete. Mission reward issued, host obtains water breathing technique, mastery. New mission issued, pass the Demon Slayer Corps exam and join the Demon Slayer Corps. Demon Slayer Corps, founded by the Yubayashiki family, it is an organization dedicated to killing demons. Mission failure penalty, confiscate host's mating tools, host will lose all mating rights in this world. Mission completion reward, obtain one-time reversal item, time limit, within 5 minutes, obtain water breathing 1st to 10th forms, ultimate. After Ryaji explained to Tomioka Jiwa, a broadcast from the super-dimensional transmigration system echoed in his mind. Knowing the penalty for failing the new mission, Ryaji's face immediately turned bitter. If he failed, he would become a eunuch. Holy crap, how could this happen? No matter what, he was a descendant of the Yanhuang people. How could he not have the ancestral jack? Besides, Ryaji didn't know how long he would stay in this world. If he didn't have the ancestral jack, wouldn't he be alone for the rest of his life? This tragic ending was not what Ryaji wanted to see, so this mission had to be completed. Tomioka Jiwa naturally didn't know that Ryaji was complaining about the mission in his heart. After listening to Ryaji's explanation, he looked at him for a while, as if he had made a decision. He turned his gaze back to Tanjiro and said, if you want to avenge your family, go visit an old man named Seikanji Urokodaki who lives at the foot of Mount Fujikazan. Tell him that Tomioka Jiwa sent you. There's not much sunlight now, so it should be fine. Remember not to expose your sister to sunlight. After Tomioka Jiwa finished speaking, he glanced at Ryaji again. With a gust of wind blowing up thick snowflakes, he disappeared from everyone's sight, clearly leaving. After Tomioka Jiwa left, Tanjiro came to Ryaji and knelt down. Thank you, senior. I'm truly grateful. Ryaji didn't think it was anything to be grateful for. The reason he did this was not out of kindness, but because of the system's mission. After all, Ryaji didn't know Tanjiro and Nezuko, so he didn't have any feelings for the two siblings. There's no need to thank me. Your sister is important to me, so she can't die. It's that simple. Ryaji said slowly. Then, is what senior said about making my sister human true? Tanjiro asked. Ryaji pondered for a while, then said, well, it takes time. Before I find a way, you'd better become as strong as that guy just now. Otherwise, I might not be able to protect you while protecting your sister. If you die, you won't see your sister become human. Hearing this, the intelligent Tanjiro naturally understood Ryaji's words. While Ryaji was unconscious, Tanjiro also had a conversation with Tomioka Jiwa. Both Ryaji and Tomioka Jiwa's words made Tanjiro determined to become strong. What are senior's plans next? Tanjiro asked again. This question showed that Tanjiro was treating Ryaji as his backbone. Ryaji scratched his head and then said, plans? You tell me your plans first. I'm going to Mount Fujikazan to find Seikanji Urokodaki Sr. and learn skills. Tanjiro said firmly. p@trian.com/casen45. 9. Chapter 9. Then let's go together. Ryaji replied. Really? Senior? Please take care of me from now on. My name is Tanjiro Kamadu, you can just call me Tanjiro. Tanjiro was obviously surprised that Ryaji would go with him. This made Tanjiro excited. With Ryaji joining them, Nezuko would be much safer. Ryaji. Ryaji looked at Tanjiro and replied calmly. After that, Ryaji accompanied Tanjiro to find a place to bury his deceased family. Tanjiro, with Nezuko, offered a simple prayer. Ryaji waited quietly in the distance, not wanting to disturb the two siblings. Tanjiro's family was very ordinary. His father died early due to illness when Tanjiro was still young. The family relied on his mother and eldest son, Tanjiro, to support them. But now, such an ordinary family was shattered in an instant. The only surviving sibling, Nezuko, had become a demon. Although Nezuko wouldn't actively eat people now, it couldn't change the fact that she had become a demon. These things were all told to Ryaji by the kind-hearted Tanjiro while Ryaji was helping him dig a grave. Ryaji didn't discuss his family with Tanjiro too much. He just listened silently as Tanjiro talked about his beautiful memories. After doing all this, Tanjiro pulled his sister to Ryaji. He carefully looked at Ryaji, who was wearing his father's clothes, and couldn't help but feel touched. He said, "Senior Ryaji, you look just like my father in this." Hearing this, Ryaji was startled and said angrily, "Tanjiro, what are you talking about?" Tanjiro smiled and explained, "You're wearing my father's clothes, so I feel like my father has come back to life. Can't you find other clothes for me?" Ryaji looked up and down at his clothes, wishing he could take them off right now. However, thinking about how that wouldn't be good, Ryaji had no choice. "My clothes are too small, and my brother's clothes are even more out of the question. Only my father's fit you." "What? Senior Ryaji, are you disgusted by my father's clothes?" Tanjiro continued. Knowing that he couldn't change clothes, Ryaji could only stop insisting. After all, it was impossible to be naked in this snowy mountain. Seeing that Tanjiro misunderstood him as being disgusted, Ryaji explained, No, it's just that your father's clothes, it's not very good for me to wear them." Tanjiro thought about it and felt it wasn't appropriate either. He said, "We really don't have any other clothes at home. I'll figure something out when we get to the outside." Ryaji didn't want to dwell on this anymore, so he urged, "Let's get going now that we're done." After that, the 2 humans and 1 demon set off on their journey to Mount Fushikazan to find Seikanji Urokadake. To be able to travel during the day, Tanjiro went to the nearby villagers to get a bamboo basket. "Senior, I'm back." Tanjiro returned to the place where Ryaji and Nezuko were resting. Ryaji was currently sitting cross-legged outside a cave. Seeing Tanjiro return, he simply replied calmly, "You're back." Tanjiro nodded. Ryaji glanced at the leaky bamboo basket Tanjiro had brought back and said, "Tanjiro, this bamboo basket isn't going to work. It's all leaky. Demons really dislike sunlight." Chapter 10. Hearing this, Tanjiro carefully looked at the bamboo basket and said, "Senior, wait a minute." After saying that, Tanjiro started to modify the bamboo basket. Ryaji watched Tanjiro quietly from the side. He naturally wouldn't know how to do this kind of manual work, because he wasn't from that era. After modification, the bamboo basket's airtightness was much better, and sunlight could basically no longer shine through. They just needed to cover it with a piece of cloth on the outside. Tanjiro took the modified bamboo basket and went into the cave. After putting Nezuko in the basket, Ryaji, Tanjiro, and Nezuko, the 2 humans and 1 demon, set off towards Mount Fushikazan again. Night. Ryaji, Tanjiro, and Nezuko, who could now move freely from the bamboo basket, came to the outside of a Buddhist temple. "Senior, there's a Buddhist temple, and we can see the lights. There should be someone inside. Let's go take a look," Tanjiro said to Ryaji. Ryaji naturally had no objections. After all, it was late at night, and it was a good place to rest. "Okay." Ryaji nodded and said, "Let's go take a look." Just as Ryaji finished speaking, Tanjiro's face suddenly changed, and he said in a slightly terrified tone, "There's the smell of blood. This mountain path is dangerous. Someone must have been injured." After saying that, the kind-hearted Tanjiro immediately pulled Nezuko and ran into the Buddhist temple. Ryaji didn't have time to stop him, so he followed. Ryaji's nose wasn't as good as Tanjiro's, so he didn't smell the blood at first. When Ryaji ran into the Buddhist temple, he could faintly smell the blood. At this time, Tanjiro was already at the door of the Buddhist temple. He pushed the door open and asked inside, "Is everyone inside all right?" But the next moment, Tanjiro stood frozen in place, his face turning pale. Ryaji, who was a step behind Tanjiro, came to his side and looked into the Buddhist temple. He saw a scene that made him shudder. There were several human corpses inside the Buddhist temple, and they had all been eaten. The demon who had eaten the corpses was currently squatting in front of one of the corpses, making chewing sounds. Ryaji's expression was extremely serious, and he assumed a posture of drawing his sword and fighting. "Take Nezuko and run," Ryaji ordered Tanjiro quickly and forcefully. Tanjiro was clearly scared and didn't hear Ryaji's words. He remained frozen in place, without any reaction. What are you doing? Hey, this is my territory. The demon who was eating people felt the presence of Ryaji and the others and stood up impatiently, turning around. This special smell, are you humans? The demon continued to mutter to himself. As soon as he finished speaking, the demon shot towards Ryaji. So fast. Ryaji was startled. Since he couldn't dodge this attack, he instinctively assumed a defensive posture. In an instant, Ryaji was knocked away. In midair, he swung the demon slayer sword in his hand towards the demon's neck. The demon was cut by Ryaji and did a backflip to create distance between them. Ryaji stumbled a few times before barely regaining his balance. After stabilizing, he didn't attack rashly, nor did he choose to activate demonification immediately. The side effects of demonification were too torturous. Ryaji didn't want to experience that. 11, Chapter 11. Demon Slayer Core. Well, it's a pity. Your attack just now posed no threat to me. The wound will heal soon. The demon touched his neck, which had been cut by Ryaji, and said with a playful smile. Hearing this, Ryaji wasn't surprised at all. He knew about the demon's regenerative ability. Ordinary weapons couldn't kill them. They needed special weapons, like the Nichiren sword used by Tomioka Jiyu. The Nichiren sword was the weapon used by most demon slayers. Only a few special demon hunters had unique weapons. Ryaji's demon slayer sword was more advanced than the Nichiren sword. After all, it was a gift from the system. Even if it was a free gift, it must have something special about it. Oh, really? Ryaji pretended to be enlightened. Just as the demon was feeling proud and about to recover his neck wound, his expression suddenly turned into one of shock and surprise. What's going on? Why isn't the wound healing? I forgot to tell you, my sword has the ability to suppress wound healing. If you're cut by my sword, even if you're a demon, your wound won't heal instantly. Ryaji said leisurely. Impossible. The demon was shocked. For a demon, this wasn't good news. Because of excessive blood loss, even a demon, even if it didn't die, would probably not pose any threat. After the panic, the demon quickly calmed down. Although his wound couldn't heal now, this amount of bleeding wouldn't pose any threat to a demon. Soon, he noticed that his wound was showing signs of healing, just very slowly. But compared to humans, this healing speed was still considered fast. Noticing this, the demon immediately showed a cocky and playful expression again. He said to Ryaji, "You almost scared me. Although your sword has the ability to suppress wound healing, it's only suppression. I can feel my wound healing on its own, just takes a little time." Hearing this, Ryaji didn't show any surprise. The demon slayer sword's characteristic was just as the demon said, it only had a certain inhibitory effect. Facing the demon's own super strong regenerative ability, the demon slayer sword couldn't completely prevent the wound from healing. So what? My sword can hurt you, and it can definitely kill you. You know, my demon sword has been thirsty for a long time. Ryaji didn't panic. He said coldly to the demon. After saying that, the demon blood on the blade of the demon slayer sword was instantly absorbed. This was also a characteristic of the demon slayer sword. It could absorb demon blood. The more it absorbed, the more powerful the demon slayer sword's killing power against demons would be, and its own characteristics would be enhanced accordingly. For example, the ability to suppress wound recovery. Ryaji's words made the demon, who had been arrogant for a while, calm down again. Now, he felt that the man in front of him was not someone easy to bully. The demon quickly looked around and immediately noticed Tanjiro standing at the entrance of the Buddhist temple. Without hesitation, he shifted his target to Tanjiro. The demon was incredibly fast. Before Ryaji could catch up, the demon was already in front of Tanjiro, grabbing him and Nezuko, and lifting the siblings up. The feeling of suffocation made Tanjiro come back to his senses, but now, any resistance he made was useless. 12, Chapter 12. Ha ha ha. The demon laughed triumphantly. With hostages in hand, he had the capital to be arrogant in front of Ryaji again. See what I have in my hands. If you don't want them to die, hand over the sword in your hand. The demon directly ordered Ryaji. In his eyes, the most threatening thing was the demon slayer sword, so he thought that as long as Ryaji lost the demon slayer sword, he would just be food for him to slaughter. If Ryaji didn't listen, he would naturally eat the siblings, make himself stronger, and then kill Ryaji. Of course, this was just the demon's assumption. In fact, Ryaji didn't take the demon's threat seriously at all. First, even if the demon ate Tanjiro, it wouldn't affect him. Second, Nezuko was also a demon, so there was no need to be afraid that this wild demon could easily kill her. Third, as a demon, Nezuko's fighting ability was naturally not to be underestimated, even though she hadn't eaten humans. Threatening me with them is the stupidest thing you can do, Ryaji said calmly. As soon as he finished speaking, Nezuko suddenly went wild. With a kick in midair, she brutally kicked off the demon's head. Impossible. This girl is actually a demon. Why is she with humans? Water breathing, activate. As Nezuko kicked, Ryaji used the water breathing technique he had obtained as a mission reward. With water breathing, Ryaji's physical abilities were significantly enhanced. In one breath, Ryaji arrived in front of the headless demon body. He swung the demon slayer sword towards the demon hand that was holding Tanjiro's arm, and finally, Tanjiro fell to the ground along with the severed demon hand. The rescued Tanjiro pulled the demon hand off and said to Ryaji, "Thank you, senior." Ryaji didn't bother to acknowledge Tanjiro's gratitude. He said to him, "The demon head that was kicked off is yours to deal with. Consider it a test for you. Don't let it escape. Otherwise, more people will be hurt, just like your family." Hearing this, Tanjiro was stunned. He didn't expect that Ryaji would let him deal with the demon, but Ryaji's later words did touch him. "Senior, what about you?" Tanjiro asked curiously before taking action. "Of course, I'll deal with this demon body and protect your sister at the same time," Ryaji replied. Tanjiro quickly understood. Ryaji couldn't take care of the headless demon alone. If he relied on Ryaji alone, he might let one part of it escape. The demon's regenerative ability was very strong. As long as it wasn't completely killed, even if only a small part of its body remained, it could recover. "I understand." Tanjiro didn't ask any more questions. He picked up the axe he had been using for many years and went to deal with the demon head. Ryaji used water breathing again and swung the demon slayer sword at the headless demon body more than 10 times. The force of Ryaji's attacks wasn't very strong. The blade only left deep and shallow wounds on the demon body, not dismembering it. Of course, this was the effect Ryaji wanted. After all, this demon body wasn't the main body of the demon. If he dismembered it, it would only increase the demon's clones and increase the probability of the demon escaping. As for why Ryaji didn't directly kill the demon's main body, the reason was Tanjiro. After all, he was the protagonist of this world. This was something he should experience. If Ryaji did everything for Tanjiro, it would cause a butterfly effect and lead to unpredictable serious consequences. Therefore, Ryaji knew that his existence could only be a guide, not a leader. Chapter 13. More importantly, Nezuko was more important in front of Ryaji, because it was related to his own life and death. Therefore, everything Ryaji did would only be related to the mission. Anything unrelated to the mission, he wouldn't bother with. Under the characteristics of the Demon Slayer sword, the attacks that were originally ineffective against demons gradually began to show their intended effect. Because the wounds on the demon body were suppressed by the Demon Slayer sword's characteristics and couldn't heal in a short time, a large amount of blood gushed out from the wounds, staining the entire demon body. The entire demon body was red, like a blood corpse. The countless wounds left by the blade made this demon body even more terrifying. It could be said that this was 100 times more cruel than directly killing the demon. Ryaji's actions were like 1,000 cuts, without any mercy. Because of the massive blood loss, the demon body's movements became incredibly slow, almost completely collapsing. The demon head, which was the main body, was also greatly affected. Although these effects weren't fatal, they gave Tanjiro a chance to counterattack. The demon head, which had grown 2 arms, was confronting Tanjiro. Tanjiro's axe, which he wanted to use to chop the demon head, was being held by the demon head's 2 newly grown hands, and the demon head's hair was also wrapped around the handle of the axe. The human and the demon head were fighting for control of the axe. The demon head, affected by the demon body, had a significant decrease in strength. Tanjiro seized the opportunity and used his hard head to ram the demon head several times. With this collision, the demon head became dizzy and completely lost its strength. Tanjiro seized this opportunity again and forcefully swung the axe towards a tree trunk. Because the demon head's hair was still wrapped around the handle of the axe, and because the demon head was a bit dizzy, it couldn't separate from the axe in time. In the end, it was nailed to the tree trunk by the axe. On Ryaji's side, the demon body finally collapsed under Ryaji's countless strikes. Surrounding the fallen demon body was the blood it had spilled. The blood had stained the ground red, and the air was filled with a thick blood scent. Seeing the demon body fall, Ryaji stopped swinging his sword. After countless swings, the demon slayer's sword had absorbed a large amount of demon blood. The blade was now shining with a purple light. Demon Slayer Sword Upgrade, Common Grade Low Rank, Common Grade High Rank. Attribute effect increased by 5%. At this time, a broadcast from the super-dimensional transmigration system echoed in Ryaji's mind. Ryaji couldn't help but be delighted. This Demon Slayer sword had actually upgraded. If he soaked this Demon Slayer sword in a pool full of demon blood overnight, wouldn't it upgrade to a divine weapon? Just thinking about it made Ryaji a little excited, but this idea was probably unrealistic. He guessed that subsequent upgrades might require specific blood. This was Ryaji's personal guess. After all, he had played a lot of online games when he became a super-dimensional transmigrator. He knew the routines. "Senior, I've controlled the demon head. Come over quickly." Tanjiro waved to Ryaji. Ryaji sheathed the Demon Slayer sword and said to Nezuko, "Come with me." After saying that, Ryaji walked towards Tanjiro. Nezuko, as if she could understand Ryaji's words, followed him. "Tanjiro, kill it," Ryaji said calmly to Tanjiro. Chapter 14. Kill it. "Senior Ryaji, you're not joking, are you? How can I do that?" Tanjiro looked at Ryaji in surprise, clearly not understanding his words. Shouldn't Ryaji do this himself? How could he possibly do it? If you can't do it, what will you use to protect your sister? How will you avenge your family? Or have you already given up on revenge and are ready to live a miserable life? Ryaji questioned Tanjiro. Tanjiro shook his head and denied, "No. If not, then kill the guy in front of you. The path you're going to take is even more dangerous than now." Ryaji's voice carried an irresistible authority. Tanjiro didn't dare to say anything more. Hesitantly, he trembled as he pulled out the small knife from his waist and held it in front of the demon head. Just at this moment, a hand reached out from behind Tanjiro. The hand rested on Tanjiro's shoulder. "That kind of thing can't kill it." A slightly old voice sounded. Ryaji and Tanjiro were both startled. They both looked in the direction of the voice. It was a man wearing a Tengu mask, a headband wrapped around his head, and a sky-blue robe. The robe was also printed with a pattern of water ripples. Judging from the old voice, this man was at least 50 years old. Although he was old, his body was exceptionally straight, and he was full of vitality. What surprised Ryaji was that he hadn't noticed or sensed the old man approaching him at all. If the other party had been hostile, he would probably have been attacked by now. However, it was also possible that the other party had no murderous intent, so he was able to approach so silently. Just as Ryaji was pondering, he remembered the old man's identity. This was the person Tanjiro was looking for, Seikanji Urokadake. Seikanji Urokadake, practitioner of water breathing, also a trainer who cultivates new demon hunters for the Demon Slayer Corps. Tomioka Jiu is his disciple. "Then how can we kill it?" Tanjiro asked in shock. "Don't ask others. Can't you use your own brain to think?" Seikanji Urokadake replied. After saying that, Seikanji Urokadake looked at Ryaji. Ryaji gave him a faint smile as a sign of respect. Tanjiro began to think. In the end, he picked up a large stone, but when it came time to actually do it, he hesitated. This child won't do. He's too considerate of others and can't make a decision. Even facing a demon, his gentle aura hasn't dissipated. He even has sympathy for the demon. "Jiu, is this the child you found?" Seikanji Urokadake looked at Tanjiro's performance and muttered to himself. Ryaji also watched quietly from the side, not saying anything more. Now that Tanjiro's true-life mentor had appeared, there was no need for Ryaji to intervene anymore. Time passed by second. The demon head, which had fainted, gradually regained consciousness. "You bastard! I'm going to kill you. I'm going to eat you whole. Come over here." "Hey, I can't go over there, you come over here, hey." The demon head, nailed to the tree trunk by the axe, waved the two hands growing on its head and yelled at the hesitant Tanjiro. Just at this moment, the sun gradually rose, and sunlight quickly shone down. The demon, exposed to the sunlight, began to burn and dissipate, letting out a painful howl. Finally, the demon head completely dissipated in front of Tanjiro. Chapter 15. Tanjiro was startled out of his hesitation by this sight, and the large stone he was holding in his hand slipped from his grasp and fell to the ground. It turns to ashes as soon as it's exposed to sunlight. No wonder Nezuko resists sunlight. Tanjiro felt a pang of fear. In his panic, Tanjiro looked around and searched for his sister and Ryaji. Nezuko. Senior Ryaji. Tanjiro shouted. Where could they have gone while he was hesitating? Thinking about it, Tanjiro ran back to the entrance of the Buddhist temple, stood outside, and looked inside. Finally, he saw Nezuko curled up in the bamboo basket in a dark corner, and Ryaji sleeping against the basket. Seeing the two of them, Tanjiro was relieved. He didn't wake Ryaji. As Tanjiro turned his head to look at a clearing next to the Buddhist temple, he saw Seikanji Urokodake. He was paying respects to the people who had been killed by the demon. The small mounds of earth that had been raised were where Seikanji Urokodake had dug to bury the dead. Tanjiro walked over and tried to talk to him. As soon as he finished speaking, Seikanji Urokodake stood up and said, "I'm Seikanji Urokodake. You and that young man are the ones Tomioka Jiua mentioned, right?" "Yes, my name is Tanjiro Kamadu. That young man is Senior Ryaji, and my sister is Nezuko." After knowing that the other party was the person he was looking for, Tanjiro also introduced himself proactively. Seikanji Urokodake didn't pay much attention to Tanjiro's introduction. Instead, he suddenly stood up, looked at Tanjiro, and asked, "Tanjiro, what would you do if your sister ate people?" Tanjiro was stumped by Seikanji Urokodake's question. He really didn't know how to answer. Seeing Tanjiro's confusion, Seikanji Urokodake walked towards him and slapped him. "With me here, his sister won't have the chance to eat people. If she does, you don't need to bother, old man. I'll end Nezuko's life with my own hands." At this moment, Ryaji suddenly appeared in front of the two of them, leaning against the wall of the Buddhist temple, looking calm and composed. After saying that, Ryaji yawned and stretched. Seikanji Urokodake turned to look at Ryaji. He was very impressed with Ryaji, because he was very sensible, calm and collected, decisive, and without any hesitation. He had the mental fortitude that a strong person should have. "What Ryaji said is right. Tanjiro, you're too slow to make judgments. Until dawn, you still couldn't deliver the final blow to the demon. Why couldn't you answer the question just now? Because your heart isn't firm enough. When your sister eats people, there are only two things you can do. Kill your sister, then kill yourself. If you carry your sister who has become a demon, you have to bear such consequences. So, you must never let this happen. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Seikanji Urokodake instructed Tanjiro with a heartfelt tone. "Yes, I understand." Facing Seikanji Urokodake's instruction, Tanjiro responded sincerely. "Then, let me test whether you're suitable to become a demon hunter of the Demon Slayer Corps." After saying that, Seikanji Urokodake turned his gaze back to Ryaji and continued, "Your name is Ryaji, right? Come with me too. Jiua said you're a special guy." Chapter 16. For ordinary people, he is indeed quite special. Ryaji said calmly. "Keep up with my pace, don't fall behind." Seikanji Urokodake didn't probe further into Ryaji's situation. As soon as Seikanji Urokodake finished speaking, he darted forward, his speed incredibly fast and without any sound. Tanjiro didn't react immediately. Ryaji roared at Tanjiro, telling him to hurry up and follow. Tanjiro then chased after him. Ryaji didn't linger, quickly entering the Buddhist temple and carrying the bamboo basket containing Nezuko on his back. In just a few seconds, Seikanji Urokodake and Tanjiro were gone. Ryaji started to use water breathing to enhance his physical abilities. If he ran normally, he obviously wouldn't be able to catch up with them, especially since he was carrying Nezuko. Seikanji Urokodake, who was running at the front, turned his head to look behind him. He saw Tanjiro following behind, about 100 meters away, but Ryaji seemed to have fallen behind. He couldn't help but wonder, could it be that Ryaji was even worse than Tanjiro? On Tanjiro's side, Tanjiro, worried that Ryaji might fall behind, ran while using a tree branch he had picked up to draw a running route on the ground. Tanjiro knew that Ryaji was taking care of Nezuko. If he had to take care of Nezuko with his reaction time and speed, he would have been left far behind by Seikanji Urokodake. After Ryaji chased out, he quickly discovered the scratches on the road. With a little thought, he knew that it was Tanjiro, the kid, who had left these marks for him. So, Ryaji followed closely behind them, relying on Seikanji Urokodake's lingering aura and the marks left by Tanjiro. Ryaji, who had mastered water breathing, naturally had physical abilities that ordinary people couldn't compare to. Plus, Seikanji Urokodake had to consider Tanjiro's physical fitness, so he couldn't go all out. As time passed, Ryaji gradually caught up with Tanjiro. When he reached Tanjiro, he saw Seikanji Urokodake 100 meters ahead. Tanjiro was indeed capable of keeping a distance where he could still see Seikanji Urokodake. At this time, Tanjiro's breathing was heavy and rapid. Seeing Ryaji catch up, he showed a look of delight and wanted to talk to him. "Control your breathing. Now is not the time to talk." Ryaji directly interrupted Tanjiro's attempt to talk to him before he could open his mouth. Hearing this, Tanjiro also understood that his current state was really not suitable for talking. He was having trouble even controlling the rhythm of his breathing, let alone speaking. However, seeing that Ryaji was not tired at all and his steps were incredibly light, Tanjiro couldn't help but secretly admire him. "If you want to become strong, pass Seikanji Urokodake's test and learn how to become strong from him," Ryaji said to Tanjiro again. This time, Tanjiro nodded and adjusted his breathing. The two of them followed at a leisurely pace, neither shortening the distance to Seikanji Urokodake nor keeping too far away. "Did you catch up?" Seikanji Urokodake sensed Ryaji catching up and turned his head to look. "Wait, this guy is actually using water breathing." Chapter 17. There's no mistake, that's the aura of water breathing. Who taught this guy to breathe? Seikanji Urokodake muttered to himself, startled. Every demon hunter has their own breathing style. Breathing styles all originate from the original sun breathing. Sun breathing is the origin of all breathing styles. Because sun breathing is incredibly powerful and domineering, not everyone is suitable to learn it. So, over time, 5 breathing styles have been derived from sun breathing: water breathing, flame breathing, stone breathing, wind breathing, thunder breathing. Throughout history, people have also derived new breathing styles based on these 5 breathing styles. Among the 9 Hashira of the Demon Slayer Corps, some Hashira use breathing styles derived from the 5 main styles. Because of the Hashira's special nature, there are no Hashira with the same breathing style. Each breathing style corresponds to only one Hashira. Only when the current Hashira steps down due to unavoidable circumstances, or dies in battle, can the position be inherited by the next qualified successor. The Hashira is just a title in the Demon Slayer Corps, and it's not particularly noble, nor is it a symbol of power. As a Hashira, they bear the mission of completely eradicating demons from the world. As time passed, it quickly became the afternoon of the twilight. Seikanji Urokodake stopped in front of a small wooden house. Ryaji and Tanjiro, who arrived shortly after, also stopped. Tanjiro was exhausted and collapsed on the ground, taking deep breaths. Ryaji remained composed, standing in front of Seikanji Urokodake with steady breathing. Seikanji, Senior, have. Senior. Ryaji, passed the test. He. Tanjiro asked with relief. Seikanji Urokodake opened the door to the wooden house and said, "Ryaji's test is over. Your test is just beginning. Come up the mountain with me." Hearing this, Tanjiro gasped. "Ryaji, stay here and watch over Tanjiro's sister. I have something to ask you when I come back," Seikanji Urokodake said to Ryaji. Hearing this, Ryaji looked at the somewhat distraught Tanjiro and said, "Don't disappoint me." After saying that, Ryaji walked into the wooden house and placed Nezuko on the wooden bed in a shadowy area. Nezuko was asleep for some reason. Ryaji didn't try to wake her up. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the spot and began to rest. Tanjiro watched Ryaji settle his sister and said to him, "Senior Ryaji, I will pass the test." Ryaji glanced at Tanjiro and didn't say much. He just nodded. "Let's go, Tanjiro." Seikanji Urokodake's urging soon rang out. Tanjiro didn't linger any longer. He turned around and went up the mountain with Seikanji Urokodake. Tanjiro had no idea what kind of test he would face going up the mountain. Ryaji, who was waiting in the wooden house, waited until Seikanji Urokadake returned after nightfall. He looked around and didn't see Tanjiro, so he was a little puzzled. However, Ryaji didn't ask right away. After all, he knew that the old man wouldn't let Tanjiro die. The two of them stared at each other for a while. Finally, Seikanji Urokadake spoke first. "Let's have boiled fish slices tonight." Chapter 18. Hearing this, Ryaji noticed the two fish that Seikanji Urokadake was holding. He didn't know much about fish, so he didn't know what kind they were. When it came to food, Ryaji wasn't picky. As long as it wasn't a culinary nightmare, he was fine. So, he nodded. Then, Seikanji Urokadake threw the fish to Ryaji and said, "You handle the fish. There's a chopping board and a fish knife outside." Ryaji was a little taken aback as he caught the two fish. From the look on Seikanji Urokadake's face, there was clearly no room for negotiation. Ryaji could only reluctantly walk outside. He looked around and finally saw the stove. The stove was very simple, but very clean. Although he had never filleted a fish, Ryaji wasn't an ordinary person with no skills. He quickly tried to fillet the fish with the help of water breathing. Using water breathing, Ryaji's perception was amplified. With the help of his enhanced perception, he picked up the sharp fish knife and sliced along the fish's bones. With a few simple cuts, the fish head, with its bones, was completely separated from the fish flesh. At this moment, Seikanji Urokadake, who appeared and disappeared at will, suddenly appeared beside Ryaji and reached out to grab the fish bones that Ryaji had separated. "You've cultivated your breathing to the point where you can use it at will. Not bad. But you should be about the same age as Jiu, so you're still a little short," Seikanji Urokadake commented. Facing Seikanji Urokadake's comparison of him to Tomioka Jiu and saying that he was a little short, Ryaji didn't show much emotional fluctuation. Ryaji admitted that he was indeed not as strong as Tomioka Jiu, the current water Hashira, but that wouldn't be the case in the future. After all, he was a super-dimensional transmigrator, a man with a system cheat. "Your mindset is good. You can remain calm even when facing my deliberate belittling. You're a good prospect," Seikanji Urokadake praised again. This time, Ryaji gave Seikanji Urokadake a faint smile. "Remember to slice the fish thinly." Seikanji Urokadake knew that Ryaji was a man of few words, so he didn't expect him to say much. After giving Ryaji his final instructions, he took the fish bones and entered the wooden house. Back in the wooden house, Seikanji Urokadake threw the fish bones into the iron pot that was already set up over the fire. The water in the pot was already boiling. The reason he went out to get the fish bones was to make some fish bone broth as a base for the soup. After throwing the fish bones into the pot, Seikanji Urokadake took out a secret recipe from his pocket and poured it into the pot. As the water boiled, the aroma began to spread with the heat. Ryaji, who was filleting the fish outside, also smelled the aroma. The smell quickly whetted his appetite, and he swallowed involuntarily. A few minutes later, Ryaji had completely filleted the fish. Then, he carried the plate with the fish slices and walked into the wooden house. Seikanji Urokadake was kneeling on one side of the iron pot. On the other side of the pot was a cushion, which was clearly prepared for Ryaji. There were also bowls and a stack of dipping sauce placed on both sides of the pot. The dipping sauce was obviously for dipping the fish slices. "Take a seat," Seikanji Urokadake said leisurely to Ryaji. Ryaji responded and placed the two plates of fish slices on both sides of the iron pot. Finally, he knelt down on the cushion opposite Seikanji Urokadake. Chapter 19. The sound of the fragrant fish soup boiling in the iron pot filled the air, creating an unusual silence. Ryaji and Seikanji Urokadake both fell silent for a while before Ryaji spoke first. "Senior Seikanji, please." Hearing this, Seikanji Urokadake finally removed his Tengu mask, revealing his face to Ryaji. Seeing the old man's appearance, Ryaji wasn't surprised or shocked. However, judging from the old man's age, he must be in his 60s. Although he was over 60, he still maintained an incredibly resolute spirit. Seikanji Urokadake, having removed his Tengu mask, didn't immediately start eating. Instead, he asked Ryaji, "Before we eat, I want to know who taught you water breathing." Hearing this, Ryaji didn't expect the old man to ask that. He was slightly surprised and replied, "I saw Tomioka Jiu using it, so I tried to imitate it. It turned out to be pretty good." Of course, this was just Ryaji's exaggerated explanation. As for why he said that, it was naturally to raise his own image a bit. This time, Seikanji Urokadaka didn't show a surprised expression. Instead, his expression became even more serious. The reason he wasn't surprised was that Seikanji Urokadaka thought Ryaji was bragging. He himself was a practitioner of water breathing and knew that learning a breathing style wasn't as simple as just imitating. It required complete unity of mind and body, gradually exploring and familiarizing oneself with the breathing style's origin and characteristics. Finally, through constant repetition, making this breathing become a bodily instinct. Learning water breathing, which belongs to the 5 main styles, isn't as easy as you say. You can't reach your current level just by imitating. Jiwa spent 2 years to reach your current level. Seikanji Urokadaka continued calmly. Ryaji didn't refute anything. Instead, he continued, Senior Seikanji, you have to believe that there are geniuses in this world, and I'm one of them. Without further explanation, Ryaji attributed his ability to use water breathing to being a genius. After all, he didn't have anything to say about the system, and there was no need to explain its existence to Seikanji Urokadaka. Hearing this, Seikanji Urokadaka suddenly laughed. The laughter seemed to be saying that Ryaji was a bit arrogant. Soon, Seikanji Urokadaka's laughter abruptly stopped, and his expression became a bit sad. I used to have a very outstanding disciple. He was even more outstanding than Jiwa, but he lost his life because of his arrogance. It's not so much arrogance as it is excessive concern for others. This ultimately led to him harming himself. To save everyone who participated in the selection, he eventually ran out of energy and collapsed on the mountain. The final result was naturally that he was eaten by a demon. Seikanji Urokadaka slowly told Ryaji this story. However, Ryaji didn't understand the specific intention behind the old man telling him this. Was it simply to tell him not to be arrogant? Or was it to say that if you don't act recklessly, you won't die? I'm telling you this story to tell you that since you think you're a genius, don't let me see this tragedy happen again. Doing things beyond your capabilities is actually a manifestation of arrogance. After listening to Seikanji Urokadaka's story, Ryaji finally understood. It turned out that he had been reminded of his deceased disciple, so he said so many heavy words. Chapter 20. The old man was actually afraid that he would lose his life because of his objective blind confidence and arrogance. Seikanji Urokadaka's disciple wasn't subjectively arrogant, but he did exhibit arrogance in his actions. As Seikanji Urokadaka said, doing things beyond your capabilities is a manifestation of arrogance. Even if the starting point was good, it could ultimately harm oneself. Don't worry, old man. I'm going to live longer than you. Ryaji said jokingly to Seikanji Urokadaka to lighten the heavy atmosphere. AI. Seikanji Urokadaka sighed and didn't say anything more to Ryaji. He picked up his chopsticks and motioned to Ryaji, let's eat. After saying that, Seikanji Urokadaka started eating with his chopsticks. He no longer cared about who Ryaji learned water breathing from. Since the elder had started eating, Ryaji also picked up his chopsticks. The two of them ate the fish slices in silence. The dipping sauce for the fish slices was delicious. Ryaji thought that the dipping sauce would also be good for dipping beef or other hot pot ingredients. Time passed slowly. The fish slices on the plate dwindled until they were completely finished by Ryaji and Seikanji Urokadaka. After finishing the fish slices, both of them scooped up a bowl of hot fish soup and sipped it slowly, a sense of contentment spreading through them. The cold night wind blew into the house, causing the weak flames under the iron pot to dance. A few sparks flew into the air, then burned out their last bit of heat and completely disappeared from the world. Just as Ryaji and Seikanji Urokadaka were about to finish their soup, the door of the wooden house was pushed open. Tanjiro, looking disheveled, was panting heavily. Tanjiro looked at Ryaji and Seikanji Urokadaka, who were drinking fish soup, and said with his last breath, I'm back. As soon as he finished speaking, Tanjiro collapsed at the door, unable to hold on any longer. At this time, Ryaji and Seikanji Urokadaka both put down their chopsticks. Seikanji Urokadaka stood up and walked to Tanjiro, muttering to the unconscious Tanjiro, I accept you, Tanjiro. After saying that, Seikanji Urokadaka picked up Tanjiro and placed him next to Nezuko. Tanjiro's breathing was very weak. This high-intensity test was truly his limit. If it wasn't for his incredibly strong willpower, he probably wouldn't have been able to hold out until the end of the test before collapsing. The next day at noon, the unconscious Tanjiro woke up. When he woke up, he felt a soreness all over his body. This was the after effect of high-intensity exercise. SSS. Tanjiro groaned in response to the soreness in his body and tried to get up. However, his muscles were no longer under his control. After trying for a long time, he still couldn't get up. However, his nose smelled a familiar scent. Following the scent, Tanjiro turned his head. Then, he saw Nezuko sleeping beside him. "Nezuko!" Tanjiro exclaimed in delight. At this moment, the sound of fighting outside caught his attention. Tanjiro, who had recovered slightly, slowly pushed open the door of the wooden house. Outside, Ryaji was practicing with bamboo swords with Seikanji Urokadake. The two of them were exchanging blows with their bamboo swords, the crisp sound of the bamboo swords clashing echoing in Tanjiro's ears. 21. Chapter 21. Your reflexes are pretty good, but your attack power is weak. Every time you swing your sword, it's just your body's instinct reacting. When you swing, you haven't fully mobilized your body's potential with your breathing. During the confrontation, Seikanji Urokadake pointed out Ryaji's shortcomings. As soon as he finished speaking, Seikanji Urokadake took a deep breath, and his entire body suddenly burst with incredible momentum and force. In an instant, Ryaji's bamboo sword was cut in half. The cut on the broken bamboo sword was incredibly smooth, as if it had been cut by a sharp blade. Ryaji was slightly stunned. After a brief moment of daze, he revealed a faint smile, clasped his hands together, and thanked Seikanji Urokadake. "Thank you for your guidance, senior." Actually, Ryaji also understood why he had such a huge gap with the old man. The most fundamental reason was that he didn't understand swordsmanship at all. So, when facing Seikanji Urokadake, he could only rely on his body's instincts to respond. "Ryaji, although you can control water breathing freely, you haven't touched swordsmanship at all. Perhaps, as you said, you learned water breathing through imitation. You are a genius." Seikanji Urokadake praised Ryaji again. Ryaji wasn't surprised that Seikanji Urokadake saw that he was a novice in swordsmanship. After all, the old man was a seasoned veteran. He naturally had this kind of insight. Your next step in your training is to learn swordsmanship and understand it. Let's stop here for today. Go back to the house and rest. After instructing Ryaji, Seikanji Urokadake turned to Tanjiro, who was standing at the entrance of the wooden house, and said to him, "Come with me, Tanjiro." After saying that, Seikanji Urokadake turned around and walked in one direction. Tanjiro, realizing what was happening, followed behind. As he passed by Ryaji, he reminded him, "Senior Ryaji, I'll leave Nezuko to you." Ryaji nodded and didn't say anything more. Back in the wooden house, Ryaji couldn't help but lie down on the empty space next to Nezuko. He stretched and sighed, "Looks like I'll be staying here for a while." A bit bored, Ryaji couldn't help but look at Nezuko, who was asleep. He looked at her fair skin, and he felt an urge to touch it. About half an hour later, Tanjiro and Seikanji Urokadake returned to the wooden house. "You'll be in charge of cooking from now on. Go fillet the fish. This is also a form of training for you." Seikanji Urokadake instructed Tanjiro. "Yes, master." Tanjiro responded helplessly and then took the two large fish he had just caught to the stove to prepare them. The title of master also showed Tanjiro's acceptance and recognition of Seikanji Urokadake. He considered himself Seikanji Urokadake's disciple. Without saying anything more, Seikanji Urokadake walked into the wooden house. Then, he said to Ryaji, who was lying next to Nezuko, "No matter how you look at it, she's still a demon. Are you actually falling for her?" Hearing Seikanji Urokadake's teasing, Ryaji sat up and gave a faint smile. He didn't say anything more. Seikanji Urokadake didn't take his words seriously. He changed the subject and said, "Start the fire. We're having boiled fish slices again tonight." Just like that, Ryaji and Tanjiro, one busy starting the fire and setting up the iron pot, and the other busy preparing the fish. As for Seikanji Urokadake, he sat aside, meditating. 22. Chapter 22. The days that followed were pretty much the same. Ryaji would learn swordsmanship and sword techniques from Seikanji Urokadake every day, while Tanjiro would do his physical strengthening exercises on the side. At mealtimes, Tanjiro would go to the designated place to catch fresh fish. Tanjiro's mandatory nightly exercise was to run back to the wooden house from Mount Fushikazan. Although this exercise didn't seem very difficult, according to Tanjiro's own description, Seikanji Urokodaki had set up many traps on the mountain. Moreover, the locations of the traps changed every day, and as Tanjiro became more adept at navigating them, the nature of the traps gradually changed. From simply restraining him, they became attempts to kill him. Tanjiro also gradually progressed from only being able to clean up the remains of Ryaji and Seikanji Urokodaki's dinner when he returned, to being able to eat a few mouthfuls of leftover soup and rice, then returning before dinner was halfway through, and finally, returning to the wooden house before dinner preparations even began. Every night, Tanjiro had the habit of talking to Nezuko and writing in his diary. Ryaji would lie in his sleeping spot, staring at the ceiling. After Tanjiro could avoid all the traps, he also began to formally learn the basics of swordsmanship, swinging the sword. As Tanjiro grew, he needed to learn more and more. Ryaji, on the other hand, was still exploring swordsmanship and the 10 forms of water breathing that the old man had taught him. Compared to Tanjiro, Ryaji had much less to learn. For example, Ryaji didn't need to practice the physical training that Tanjiro had to do every day. During this long period, Tanjiro's sister, Nezuko, remained unconscious. Seikanji Urokodaki couldn't provide a reasonable explanation for why she was always unconscious. Half a year later, Seikanji Urokodaki finally formally taught Tanjiro the secrets and essence of water breathing. Tanjiro, today I'm going to teach you water breathing. You have to listen carefully. Seikanji Urokodaki said to Tanjiro with a very serious expression. Yes, master. Tanjiro immediately became serious. Ryaji stood quietly beside Tanjiro, not saying anything. Breathing is about consciously breathing for a long time, allowing oxygen to reach every cell in your body. This can improve your body's natural healing ability, as well as your strength and reaction speed. This breathing is called total concentration breathing. Water breathing is based on total concentration breathing. You maintain a specific frequency of breathing. At that specific frequency, you'll generate the rhythm of water. This is water breathing. Other breathing styles are the same, each with its own rhythm. Tanjiro, now relax your upper body, stabilize your lower body, and start breathing. Seikanji Urokodaki changed his tone and said to Tanjiro. Hearing this, Tanjiro began to try breathing according to Seikanji Urokodaki's instructions. After just one breath, Tanjiro's expression became painful, and he let out a cry. Looking over, it turned out that Seikanji Urokodaki had slapped Tanjiro's abdomen. No, total concentration breathing must be powered by your dantian. You must inhale oxygen through your dantian, not just your nose. Your nose is only the passageway for oxygen to flow in. Try again. Sink your breath into your dantian, and use your dantian to spread oxygen to every cell in your body. Yes, master. Tanjiro responded again and tried again. Ah. What followed was Tanjiro's cries of failure as he tried again and again. 23, Chapter 23. At the top of a waterfall, a place where Tanjiro caught fish. One day, Seikanji Urokodaki brought Ryaji and Tanjiro to this place to practice sensing the rhythm of breathing. Of course, Seikanji Urokodaki knew that Ryaji didn't need to do this kind of training. He could activate water breathing at will. At this level, he clearly had a deep understanding of the rhythm of water. So, this training was mainly for Tanjiro. Ryaji, Tanjiro, what you need to do today is to become one with the water. Seikanji Urokodaki said slowly to the two of them. Master, become one with the water. Are you sure you're not joking? Tanjiro looked very surprised. Go ahead. Seikanji Urokodaki didn't explain or waste time with Tanjiro. After saying that, he kicked him off the waterfall. Tanjiro flailed a few times in midair before falling straight down. Then, Seikanji Urokodaki's gaze swept towards Ryaji. Sensing the old man's gaze, Ryaji didn't give Seikanji Urokodaki a chance to kick him down. He jumped off the waterfall on his own. In midair, Ryaji had already started to practice water breathing. As he was about to fall into the water like Tanjiro, he did a backflip. His right foot landed on the water first. The originally flowing water suddenly became still, and Ryaji's reflection was imprinted on the surface. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds passed. Ryaji didn't sink into the water. Instead, he stood upright on the water, as if standing on solid ground. Then, where his foot touched the water, ripples suddenly appeared. The ripples spread outwards and grew larger. After the ripples disappeared, the water flowed again. At this time, Ryaji's left leg slowly came down, and then he stood completely on the water. Tanjiro, who had emerged from the water, was even more shocked to see Ryaji standing on the water. This was amazing. Master wasn't joking. He really became one with the water. Well done. Seikanji Urokadake, standing on the waterfall, expressed his approval of Ryaji's performance. Senior Ryaji, how did you do it? It's amazing. Tanjiro couldn't contain his shock and excitement. He shouted to Ryaji. Ryaji slowly walked towards Tanjiro, came in front of him, and said, "If you master the water breathing that Master taught you, you can do it too." After that, Tanjiro had an additional training item. Under Seikanji Urokadake's instructions, Ryaji would also train with Tanjiro. Nezuko. I'm water. I'm water. I'm. Tanjiro instinctively howled as he was hit by the rushing waterfall. In the end, he couldn't withstand the force of the waterfall and fainted. On the other hand, Ryaji, also standing under the waterfall, had become one with the water. The rushing waterfall didn't hit him directly. Instead, it flowed silently over him. Time flew by, and a year passed. During this time, Tanjiro continued to train, and he gradually figured out the way of breathing. One day, Seikanji Urokadake called Ryaji and Tanjiro to his side. "Tanjiro, I have nothing more to teach you." Hearing this, Tanjiro was taken aback. He had never thought that Seikanji Urokadake would say such a thing to him, because Tanjiro felt that there was an endless amount to learn from his master. 24, Chapter 24. From now on, it's up to you. See if you can elevate what I've taught you. Your senior brother, Ryaji, naturally doesn't need to be mentioned. His talent is higher than both Jiuwa and you. If it weren't for waiting for you, he would have already become a powerful figure in the Demon Slayer Corps, just like Tomioka Jiuwa. As for whether you can participate in the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps, you still need to pass one last test. Follow me. After saying that, Seikanji Urokadake disappeared in a flash. Go. Ryaji said to Tanjiro, and then followed. Tanjiro followed closely behind. The three of them walked in a line, with Seikanji Urokadake in front, Ryaji in the middle, and Tanjiro at the back. Finally, Seikanji Urokadake brought Ryaji and Tanjiro to a relatively open clearing on Mount Fujikazan. After a year, snow was falling on Mount Fujikazan again. In the clearing, there was a large, round stone standing there. A thick rope was tied to the stone, probably dragged there by Seikanji Urokadake. "Tanjiro, as long as you can cut this giant stone, I'll allow you and Ryaji to participate in the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps." Seikanji Urokadake gave Tanjiro his final instructions. After saying that, he disappeared silently again. Tanjiro called out to Seikanji Urokadake in the direction he had left, but he couldn't catch up to him. Looking at the giant stone in front of him, Tanjiro began to doubt. Could he really cut such a large stone with the sword in his hand? Thinking about it, Tanjiro looked at Ryaji and asked, "Senior Ryaji, can you cut this giant stone?" Hearing this, Ryaji nodded and said calmly, "I can." "Really? Senior Ryaji? Can you demonstrate it for me?" Tanjiro couldn't wait to see how Ryaji would cut the giant stone. "No." Ryaji refused Tanjiro's request without hesitation. "Why?" Tanjiro was very puzzled. "This is the old man's final test for you, so I can't demonstrate anything," Ryaji replied. Besides this reason, Ryaji didn't demonstrate because there was only one such giant stone. If he cut it, it would be hard to find another identical stone for Tanjiro. Another point was, as he said, this was Tanjiro's final test. Ryaji didn't want to interfere too much. Use your own brain to think about what the old man said. Don't be someone who can't do it for the rest of your life. After saying that, Ryaji also walked away. Senior Ryaji. Tanjiro was a little lost. Soon, Tanjiro was the only one left on Mount Fujikazan. The cold winter wind and snow danced leisurely in the mountains. The silence around him made Tanjiro fall into thought. The words of Ryaji and Seikanji Urokadake echoed in his ears. "Elevate? What I've learned is just the surface, not the essence." Tanjiro asked himself silently. Thinking about it, Tanjiro swung his sword and tried. The blade hit the giant stone, making a sound of metal colliding with a hard object. This shock made Tanjiro's entire body go numb. Time passed again for half a year. During this time, without Seikanji Urokadake's guidance, Tanjiro repeated his previous training every day and tried to cut the giant stone. Ryaji would also spar with Tanjiro from time to time, and every time, Tanjiro lost miserably. Senior Ryaji, am I really useless? Half a year has passed, and I still haven't cut the giant stone. 25, Chapter 25. Tanjiro, lying on the ground, exhausted, began to lose faith in himself. Tanjiro, your breathing is too stiff, causing your body to react involuntarily. For half a year, the old man has taught you things, but you've only memorized them in your head. You haven't integrated water breathing into your bones. If you don't overcome this, you won't be able to cut the giant stone. Ryaji calmly pointed out Tanjiro's fatal flaw. Although a year and a half of training had indeed made Tanjiro grow a lot, his body hadn't completely elevated and absorbed what he had learned during training. Tanjiro's stiff breathing couldn't unleash the full potential of water breathing. Attacks launched at this level wouldn't be able to cut the giant stone. Time passed, and another half a year went by. The world repeated its annual cycle. Winter snowflakes fell into Ryaji's hands. He stood outside the wooden house, looked up at the sky filled with falling snow, and muttered, "It's snowing again." Another year has passed. During this year, Seikanji Urokadake hadn't appeared again. Ryaji took care of everything in the wooden house, and he also took care of Nezuko. Because after that confrontation, Tanjiro had never left Mount Fujikazan. So, for the past half a year, Nezuko had been under Ryaji's care. Regularly wiping her body was a necessity, which Ryaji considered a good job. This way, Ryaji naturally had close contact with Nezuko. When Tanjiro was around, it was naturally his duty as her brother to do this. Wiping Nezuko's body wasn't Ryaji deliberately taking advantage of her. It was because if he didn't, she would smell bad. At first, seeing that Tanjiro hadn't returned to the wooden house, Ryaji, noticing something was wrong, went up the mountain himself to find him. He discovered that Tanjiro was talking to the air near the giant stone, as if he had gone mad. However, just as Ryaji was about to wake Tanjiro up, he began to swing his sword. Sensing that Tanjiro's movements were no longer stiff and his breathing control had become more fluid, Ryaji felt that Tanjiro might have entered a subconscious state of selflessness. This was a blessing for him. So, Ryaji chose not to interrupt Tanjiro's blessing and let him completely elevate himself in this blessing. Unexpectedly, he waited for another half a year. During these 6 months, Ryaji had also checked on Tanjiro regularly. However, he saw him either practicing swordsmanship or meditating. Sometimes, he was even talking to someone. The most puzzling time, Ryaji tried to stand in front of him, but Tanjiro seemed to be unable to see him. Finally, with the system's prompt, Ryaji used his demonic power to activate his demonic eyes and finally figured out Tanjiro's situation. It turned out that the spirits of Mount Fujikazan had locked Tanjiro in a mental world they had created. From Tanjiro's changes, these spirits should be helping him grow, so Ryaji didn't interfere too much. Instead, he chose to wait quietly. At this time, Ryaji saw someone walking towards him from afar. He took a closer look and realized it was Seikanji Urokadake, who had left the wooden house a year ago. Ryaji looked at Seikanji Urokadake, who had walked in front of him, and smiled. He said, "You're back, old man." Seikanji Urokadake stood in front of Ryaji, looked him over for a while, nodded, and responded, "Where's Tanjiro?" 26, Chapter 26. He's been staying on Mount Fujikazan for the past 6 months and hasn't come down. That kid Tanjiro is really hardworking. Ryaji said to Seikanji Urokadake. At the end, he couldn't help but praise Tanjiro. He's still a bit lacking in talent compared to you. This test has exceeded his capabilities. Seikanji Urokadake said leisurely. Hearing this, Ryaji didn't refute the old man, nor did he worry too much. After all, Tanjiro was the protagonist of this world, so he would definitely be able to do it. "Ryaji, come up the mountain with me." After that, Ryaji followed Seikanji Urokadake up Mount Fujikazan. The two of them soon arrived at the testing ground where the giant stone was located. Tanjiro was standing opposite the giant stone, in a posture ready to strike. Just as Ryaji was about to explain Tanjiro's situation to Seikanji Urokadake, Seikanji Urokadake stopped far away, with no intention of going forward to disturb Tanjiro. Ryaji also looked in the direction where Tanjiro was. By sensing Tanjiro's breathing, he discovered that his breathing had reached its most perfect state. Ryaji was very familiar with this state. After all, he was also proficient in water breathing. It seems like this kid has truly elevated himself. Seikanji Urokodaki also sensed the change in Tanjiro. Seeing that Tanjiro was about to try to split the giant stone, he didn't go forward to interfere. In an instant, Tanjiro's body flashed towards the giant stone. As he approached the stone, he swung his sword cleanly, and the stone in front of him was split in half. The cut on the giant stone was incredibly smooth and even. Seeing this, Seikanji Urokodake couldn't help but take a deep breath. After a brief moment of shock, he returned to his usual composure. After splitting the giant stone, Tanjiro's spirit completely returned to reality. Looking at the split stone in front of him, he was completely stunned. He had split the giant stone. Just as Tanjiro was bewildered, Ryaji and Seikanji Urokodake walked towards him. Sensing their footsteps, Tanjiro turned around and looked. After seeing Ryaji and Seikanji Urokodake, he still hadn't recovered from his shock. Until they reached him, he subconsciously said, "Master, Senior Ryaji." Seikanji Urokodake looked at the split giant stone and said slowly, "I didn't intend to let you participate in the final selection. I don't want to see any more children die. I always thought you couldn't cut the giant stone. It seems like you worked very hard." At the end, Seikanji Urokodake stroked Tanjiro's head. "Tanjiro, you're truly an amazing child." Facing Seikanji Urokodake's fatherly affection, Tanjiro, who had been training on Mount Fujikazen for 2 years, couldn't help but shed tears, deeply moved. Seeing this, Seikanji Urokodake embraced Tanjiro. "You and Ryaji must survive the final selection and come back. Your sister and I will be waiting for you here." That night, when Tanjiro was brought down the mountain, the wooden house was filled with the aroma of ingredients. This time, the fish broth for the fish slices was exceptionally rich, with all kinds of mountain yam and mushrooms that Ryaji had gathered from the mountain, as well as river clams he had caught in the river. To celebrate Tanjiro's completion of all his training, Seikanji Urokodake, as his master, had specially caught a large fish for Tanjiro. Even the fish slices were filleted by Seikanji Urokodake himself. 27, Chapter 27. The three of them sat around the iron pot. Tanjiro looked at the plentiful dinner in front of him and asked with a mix of joy and confusion, "Why are there so many ingredients today?" Seikanji Urokodake was using a soup ladle to scoop a bowl of hot soup and food from the iron pot for Tanjiro. "This is to celebrate the end of your training. Don't be polite, eat up. Your senior brother, Ryaji, specially brought all of this back for you." "Thank you, master." "Thank you, Senior Ryaji. I won't be polite then." After thanking Ryaji and Seikanji Urokodake, Tanjiro happily took the food that Seikanji Urokodake had scooped for him and started eating eagerly. Then, Seikanji Urokodake scooped a bowl for Ryaji and said, "Ryaji, eat up too." "Thanks, master." This time, Ryaji rarely addressed him as master. Although he acknowledged Seikanji Urokodake as his master in his heart, he usually called him old man. This time, Ryaji didn't wait for Seikanji Urokodake to start eating first, as he usually did. Because this time, it was a celebration of the elder for the younger. Seikanji Urokodake looked at his two disciples and couldn't help but recall the scene of Tomioka Jiu and his senior brother together. It was so similar to back then. "Tanjiro, you're the one I'm most worried about. I've done all I can for you. From now on, I hope you can completely transform under Ryaji's guidance." After dinner, Ryaji was using scissors to cut Tanjiro's long, messy hair that had grown over the year. This was a way of taking care of him as his senior brother. Seikanji Urokodake, kneeling by the fire, suddenly muttered, "Ryaji, Tanjiro, did you enjoy the hot pot and fish slices?" Hearing this, Ryaji didn't answer. He just silently continued cutting Tanjiro's hair. Although he didn't answer, he couldn't deny that the dinner was indeed plentiful and delicious. "It was so delicious, master. I haven't eaten anything this delicious in a long time." Tanjiro happily gave his very satisfied response to the dinner. For a child with such a hearty appetite, the more food you eat, the more strength you'll gain, and your body will grow accordingly. But, demons are the same. Speaking of which, Seikanji Urokodake turned his gaze towards Ryaji and Tanjiro and continued, "Remember, generally speaking, a demon's strength is equal to the number of people it has eaten. The more people a demon eats, the stronger it becomes. Some will gain strength, some will change their bodies, and some can even use sorcery. As he spoke, Seikanji Urokodake stood up and went to a cabinet. He took out 2 fox masks from the cabinet. These are disaster-averting masks. I've cast a spell on them. They can protect you from misfortune. This is the last gift your master gives you. After saying that, Seikanji Urokodake handed the masks to Ryaji and Tanjiro. The next morning, Ryaji and Tanjiro got up early. They put on their clothes and brought their swords and the disaster-averting masks that Seikanji Urokodake had given them. Before leaving, Tanjiro didn't forget to say goodbye to his sister, who was still asleep. Ryaji didn't say much. He simply walked out of the wooden house. Outside the wooden house, Seikanji Urokodake was already waiting to bid them farewell. Seeing Ryaji come out, Seikanji Urokodake said to him, "You're the most talented of all the children. You must come back alive. Don't let that kind of tragedy happen again." 28, Chapter 28. Ryaji nodded and didn't say anything more. At this time, Tanjiro also walked out of the wooden house. Seikanji Urokodake walked up to Tanjiro and patted him on the shoulder. He said, "Tanjiro, don't get separated from your senior brother, Ryaji." "Okay, I got it," Tanjiro replied. Tanjiro knew about Ryaji's strength. He was even stronger than him. After a simple farewell, Tanjiro said to Ryaji, "Let's go, Senior Ryaji." Ryaji nodded, and the two of them set off for Mount Fujikazan, the location of the Demon Slayer Corps' final selection. After a day of traveling, they finally arrived at the foot of Mount Fujikazan at nightfall. Seeing the mountain covered in wisteria flowers, Tanjiro's mood brightened. To maintain a sense of mystery, Ryaji put on his disaster-averting mask. They followed the only path up the mountain. They walked up a set of bluestone stairs and arrived at an open space paved with bluestone. In this open space, many young men around Tanjiro's age were waiting. The appearance of Ryaji and Tanjiro immediately attracted the attention of these young men. The most eye-catching was Ryaji, with his tall and slender figure, standing 175 centimeters tall, and wearing a disaster-averting mask. Because Ryaji was around the same age as Tomioka Jiuo, he was a few years older than these young men. If he hadn't waited for Tanjiro, he would have been able to participate in the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps a year and a half ago. However, in the past 2 years, Ryaji's understanding of swordsmanship had reached a deeper level. Now, he had no problem facing the selection. "Senior Ryaji, there are so many people here." Tanjiro didn't expect that all the people who came to participate in the selection were young men around his age. On the faces of these young men, most of them had proud expressions. When they saw the kind-looking Tanjiro, a hint of disdain flashed in their proud expressions. "Senior Ryaji, I even saw a girl." Tanjiro excitedly tugged at Ryaji's sleeve. At Tanjiro's call, Ryaji took a simple look and saw a girl in a kimono. The little girl had a naive expression, as if she was frail and could be bullied at any time. However, since this little girl dared to come here and seemed indifferent to everything around her, Ryaji knew that she wasn't simple. She was probably a woman who wouldn't hesitate to fight. What's the big deal? If you like her, go ahead and chat her up. Ryaji retracted his gaze and couldn't help but say to Tanjiro. Hearing this, Tanjiro immediately blushed and became shy. He stammered, "Senior Ryaji, what are you saying? I was just surprised. It seems like she's the only girl here." After saying that, Tanjiro looked around again. "If you're worried that she'll die, go ahead and bring her over to join us now." Ryaji continued, playing his own game. Being told this by Ryaji, Tanjiro also had this idea. However, he was still too shy to go and talk to her. Just as Tanjiro was hesitating, Ryaji had already walked over to the little girl and said to her, "Hey, my name is Ryaji. Do you want to team up with us later?" 29, Chapter 29. Tanjiro looked at Ryaji, who had left him and gone to chat up the little girl, and his face turned black. Just now, he said he liked her. Is he sure he's not the one who likes her? Although he was a little unhappy, Tanjiro didn't go over to interrupt Ryaji's flirting. Because Tanjiro thought that Ryaji was a few years older than him, and it was normal for someone his age to take the initiative to pursue girls. Because a little older, they would be able to get married. Over there, Ryaji's initiative to talk to the little girl immediately attracted the covetous gazes of the other young men around him. In an instant, his actions made him the #1 enemy of most of the young men. "This girl is mine. Don't even think about her." Otherwise, I'll kill you." A young man who couldn't hold back jumped out, pointed at Ryaji, declared his ownership, and even threatened him. Hearing this, Ryaji turned his head and made a gesture for him to shut up. Then, he suddenly disappeared from in front of the little girl. When everyone focused their attention on Ryaji again, he had already appeared in front of the young man who said he would kill him. Ryaji's demon slayer sword was already unsheathed, and the sharp blade was already across the young man's neck. The young man was immediately terrified. He hadn't recovered from the shock Ryaji had caused, and he was already peeing his pants. The urine seeped through his pants and dripped onto the ground. Ryaji's move instantly showed everyone his prowess. The covetous gazes they had before instantly turned into fear. "You don't even have a chance to draw your sword. How are you going to kill me?" Ryaji said calmly to the young man. "You actually peed your pants. I think you should just go home and find your mother." Ryaji added, sarcastically. Faced with Ryaji's sarcasm, the young man was both angry and helpless. The sword was already at his neck. He didn't even have a chance to retort, because what Ryaji said was the truth. He had peed his pants. The others couldn't help but laugh at the young man when they heard Ryaji's sarcasm. The laughter around him made the young man lose face and dignity. Unable to bear it any longer, he turned and ran down the mountain. Ryaji didn't intend to do anything to the young man. Instead, he shook his head in disappointment and sheathed his demon slayer sword. Tanjiro witnessed everything that had just happened. Seeing Ryaji's performance, he knew that he was even stronger than he was 6 months ago. "Senior Ryaji, isn't it a bit unfriendly to scare people away like that?" Tanjiro felt that Ryaji's words were a bit too much, so he reminded him, hoping that he would be more friendly to the people around him. Ryaji didn't think there was anything wrong. He replied, "It's better that he ran away. Otherwise, he'd be even worse off if he was eaten by a demon. I don't know who taught him so well. He's not even strong enough, yet he dares to participate in the selection. He's really not afraid of death." Ryaji couldn't help but complain. As he spoke, he returned to the little girl. The little girl remained as dazed as ever, as if she wasn't fazed by Ryaji's actions. Ryaji knew that his move just now had definitely raised his image to the max. It was unusual that this little girl wasn't captivated by it. There were only two possibilities. Either this little girl was even stronger than him, and his performance hadn't caused any ripples in her, or she was just a little slow. Chapter 30. "Little sister, what do you think? Do you want to team up with us?" Ryaji continued to ask. At this moment, the little girl finally looked at Ryaji, took out a coin from her clothes, tossed it into the air, and caught it. Then, she looked at the coin and said to Ryaji, "Sorry, my master told me I have to do this alone." After saying that, the little girl returned to her dazed expression. Seeing that the little girl refused, Ryaji didn't force her. This was the first time he had encountered such a strange personality. Did this girl have autism? "Let's go, Tanjiro. The little girl doesn't want to, so don't push your flirting onto me in the future." Ryaji immediately found an excuse to ease the awkwardness of being rejected. Hearing this, Tanjiro jumped onto Ryaji and choked his neck, demanding justice for himself. "Senior Ryaji, it was you who took the initiative to chat her up. What does it have to do with me? You're wrong to slander me like that." "I know, Tanjiro, let go." After 2 years of training, Tanjiro's grip was very strong. Ryaji was choking and couldn't breathe. If he hadn't wanted to hurt Tanjiro, he would have already thrown him to the ground. After all, they were from the same school, so Ryaji still had to give him some face. Just as Ryaji and Tanjiro were messing around, 2 little girls with big eyes, wearing purple kimonos, carrying lanterns, appeared in the open space. The little girls had wisteria flower hair ornaments. Seeing the little girls, Tanjiro let go of Ryaji and jumped off him. Ryaji also immediately straightened his clothes, which had been wrinkled by Tanjiro, and then looked at the 2 little girls. The most eye-catching thing was their big eyes and their overly cute little faces. "Thank you all for coming to participate in the final selection of the Demon Slayer Corps tonight. In this Mount Fujikazan, there are demons that the demon hunters have captured alive, but they haven't left. Because the area from the foot of the mountain to the middle of the mountain is full of wisteria flowers, which demons hate. The poison on the wisteria flowers can kill those demons. The large number of wisteria flowers blooming has also made the air on Mount Fujikazan slightly poisonous. But don't worry, as long as you don't eat the wisteria flowers or their fruit, the poison in the air won't affect you. But ahead, there are no more wisteria flowers, and there are demons lurking. Surviving for 7 days here is the requirement for passing the final selection. So, good luck. The two little girls with big eyes spoke to everyone in the open space, taking turns. Their soft voices made Ryaji smile mischievously, and he licked his lips. However, he was wearing a disaster-averting mask, so his somewhat sinister expression wasn't seen by anyone. After the little girls with big eyes finished their instructions, everyone headed towards the depths of Mount Fushikazan, walking into the darkness where wisteria flowers didn't bloom. Tanjiro, let's go. Ryaji said to Tanjiro. Tanjiro nodded and stepped into the darkness of the depths of Mount Fushikazan with Ryaji. After everyone entered the selection area, several masked Demon Slayer Corps members blocked the only path down the mountain. This posture clearly meant there was no turning back. 31, Chapter 31. Mission: completely eliminate all the demons on Mount Fushikazan. Mission completion reward: obtain Wood Breathing Mastery Ghost Soul Devourer level upgraded to D rank. D rank Ghost Soul Devourer can devour those with blood demon arts. Mission failure penalty: host's lifespan reduced by 20 years, current host lifespan remaining 81 years. As soon as Ryaji stepped into the depths of Mount Fushikazan, the super-dimensional transmigration system suddenly issued a mission. After reading the details of the mission issued by the system, Ryaji was speechless. Was the system trying to kill him this time? Could it be a little more low-key? Why did it have to be a complete extermination? And what did this remaining 81 years of lifespan mean? Was he that short-lived? This was too inconsistent with his identity as a dimensional transmigrator. Ryaji muttered to himself, feeling helpless. Especially after knowing his exact lifespan, although as a human, living to 100 was considered long-lived, but the mission failure penalty would reduce it by 20 years. This made Ryaji feel particularly uncomfortable. Was his life so worthless? It could be reduced just like that. However, this disrupted his original plan. Without this mission, according to the selection requirements, he only needed to survive for 7 days on Mount Fushikazan with Tanjiro and then go down the mountain. Because Ryaji thought that the number of demons imprisoned on Mount Fushikazan shouldn't be too large, at most, it wouldn't exceed 200. Plus, Mount Fushikazan was so big, the chances of bumping into demons wouldn't be very high. And demons only came out at night, so there were 12 hours of safety every day. Calculating this, Ryaji felt that his and Tanjiro's survival rate would definitely be 100%. But after the system issued this mission, the situation completely changed. He couldn't use the method of stalling time to pass the selection anymore. After all, Ryaji didn't want to lose 20 years of his life. Even living to 80 was enough. The remaining 20 years didn't matter. But, no matter what, it was his life. Could he just say he didn't want it anymore? This meant that he had to search the entire mountain for demons and kill them all. This was a huge project. Ryaji was also a bit puzzled about the mission reward. Wood breathing didn't seem to be one of the 5 main breathing styles, and it didn't seem to be a derivative of other breathing styles. It felt like a breathing style independent of these breathing styles. What was the use of this wood breathing? Would it improve his strength? Senior Ryaji, what's wrong? Tanjiro called out to Ryaji, who was suddenly in a daze. Tanjiro's call brought Ryaji back to his senses. He shook his head and said, Tanjiro, we'll have to split up after we enter the mountain. Hearing this, Tanjiro didn't understand. He asked, why split up? Master told us to try not to get separated. Because I have something to deal with. If you follow me, it will only be more dangerous. Ryaji explained calmly. Tanjiro, you have to believe in your own strength. Even if you don't follow me, you have the ability to survive. I'll carve water ripple marks on the tree trunks where I've been. As long as you see this kind of water ripple mark on the tree trunk, it means that place is safe. Don't follow me, because it will be very dangerous. As if he wasn't sure about Tanjiro, Ryaji encouraged him and gave him his final instructions. 32, Chapter 32. As soon as Ryaji finished speaking, the air around where he had been standing vibrated violently. In the next moment, his figure disappeared without a trace from Tanjiro's perception. Tanjiro wanted to chase after him, but there was no trace of Ryaji's scent anywhere. There was no lingering scent at all. Tanjiro immediately understood that Ryaji truly didn't want him to follow. Has Senior Ryaji reached this level of breathing? Tanjiro was startled. Without Ryaji by his side, Tanjiro felt uneasy. he couldn't help but feel a sense of retreat. He turned around and looked at the path back down the mountain, which had been blocked by the masked Demon Slayer Corps members. Just then, a young man with yellow hair approached Tanjiro and said, my name is Zenitsu. What about that really strong senior who was with you? Where did he go? Tanjiro looked at the yellow-haired young man named Zenitsu. From his tone, Tanjiro felt that he was very scared and nervous. Hello, my name is Tanjiro Kamado. The person you're talking about is my senior brother. His name is Ryaji. I usually call him Senior Ryaji. Tanjiro introduced himself friendly in response to Zenitsu's greeting. Oh, where did Senior Ryaji go? Zenitsu continued to ask. I don't know either. He just told me he had something to take care of, and then he separated from me. He also told me not to follow him. Are you looking for him? Tanjiro briefly explained Ryaji's situation and then asked Zenitsu back what he was looking for him for. Hearing this, Zenitsu immediately fell into a pit of fear, muttering to himself, if this is the case, I'm really going to die. I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Tanjiro, I haven't gotten married yet. I don't want to die here. Just as Tanjiro was still trying to understand why Zenitsu was like this, he suddenly started crying and hugged Tanjiro's leg, wailing. Tanjiro clearly hadn't expected to encounter this situation, but seeing Zenitsu so scared and cowardly, his kind heart was instantly stirred. Tanjiro patted Zenitsu's head and comforted him, it's okay. I'll protect you. Really? Are you as strong as Senior Ryaji? Zenitsu seemed to have seen hope and immediately stopped his crying. Although I'm not as strong as Senior Ryaji, I'll definitely protect you. Tanjiro said confidently. Thank you so much, Tanjiro. Zenitsu gave Tanjiro a big hug. Although Zenitsu was cowardly, it didn't mean he was stupid. Even though Tanjiro admitted that he wasn't as strong as Ryaji, Zenitsu still felt very secure seeking Tanjiro's protection. Besides trusting Tanjiro, he also trusted Ryaji's choice. Because Zenitsu thought that since Ryaji could leave Tanjiro behind like that, he must have confidence in Tanjiro's strength. However, Zenitsu didn't realize that his grandfather's permission for him to participate in the Demon Slayer Corps' selection was also a kind of affirmation of him. But because of his personality, Zenitsu didn't understand his own potential. At this time, Tanjiro also didn't know that the yellow-haired young man he had encountered, Zenitsu, was actually someone who would play a crucial role in turning the tide. Let's go, Zenitsu. Tanjiro patted Zenitsu's shoulder. 33, Chapter 33. After that, Tanjiro and Zenitsu went deeper into Mount Fujikazan, exchanging information about each other along the way. Through their conversation, the two of them gradually became acquainted. Ryaji, who was traveling alone, didn't know that under his influence, the timeline of Zenitsu and Tanjiro's meeting had been advanced. The development of the story also began to deviate from its original direction at this point. Ryaji, who had already entered the depths of Mount Fujikazan, soon encountered a demon that blocked his path. This demon had been imprisoned on Mount Fujikazan for a very long time. It had been craving human flesh for a long time. Seeing Ryaji, the demon's saliva couldn't help but flow all over the ground. Its disgusting appearance made people stare in shock. Ryaji stopped and said with disgust, "What a disgusting creature. The Demon Slayer Corps has finally brought food in. It's a truly mouth-watering aroma." The demon had already regarded Ryaji as food to be eaten and couldn't help but let out a chilling smile. However, the next moment, the demon's laughter stopped abruptly. Ryaji's figure had already appeared behind it. Water breathing, first form, water surface slash. Ryaji said calmly. After saying that, he sheathed his unsheathed demon slayer sword. The next second, the demon's head rolled to the ground. At the moment of its death, its eyes showed fear and disbelief. How could you be so strong? As the demon's last words escaped its mouth, its body and head quickly turned to ashes and completely disappeared from the world. After dealing with this demon, Ryaji carved a water ripple mark on a nearby tree trunk. Then, he continued to search for his next target without stopping. According to the small map provided by the super-dimensional system, he quickly headed towards the nearest red dot. The demons on Mount Fujikazan were marked with red dots on the small map. With this help, Ryaji didn't have to search for his targets like a headless fly. However, this small map wasn't available 24 hours a day. It only appeared during the time when the demons were active. Ryaji guessed that this was probably set by the system to prevent him from killing demons during the day. After all, demons were afraid of sunlight, so they could only hide during the day. If Ryaji used this radar small map to kill demons at this time, the demons wouldn't be able to escape. They would only become lambs to the slaughter, at his mercy. It seemed that the super-dimensional transmigration system didn't want him to complete the mission too easily. It only allowed him to act at night. Of course, Ryaji could also choose to act during the day, but without the radar small map, it would be difficult for him to find the demons during the day. Even if he could find them, it would be at most one or two. So, Ryaji naturally wouldn't torture himself like that and tire himself out. Don't come closer. I don't want to be eaten. When Ryaji arrived, the demon had already tackled a young man to the ground and was mercilessly biting his neck. At this critical moment, Ryaji leaped into the air. In midair, he performed the water-breathing, second form, water wheel. The demon slayer sword in his hand drew a circular trajectory, and water droplets from the water rhythm could be seen on the circular trajectory. Then, the demon's neck was cut off by the second form, water wheel. The demon that was about to bite the young man instantly turned to ashes, and the young man was spared from being eaten. 34, Chapter 34. Although Ryaji had intervened and saved a life, the young man's neck was still bitten, and blood immediately stained his clothes red. Ryaji didn't pay much attention to the injured young man. He simply looked down at the young man lying on the ground and asked calmly, "You'll be all right, right?" The young man looked at Ryaji in astonishment. He still remembered him. After all, Ryaji had shown off his skills in front of everyone, shocking the entire audience. The young man shook his head and said, "Enduring the pain, thank you. If you want to survive, go to the place where there are water ripple marks on the tree trunks," Ryaji said calmly to the young man. After saying that, he didn't linger and continued towards his next target. "Am I still too weak?" The young man looked at Ryaji leaving and couldn't help but have a new understanding of himself. In the time that followed, one demon after another died under Ryaji's demon slayer sword. It wasn't that Ryaji was too strong, but that these demons used for the selection test were too weak. Because they were imprisoned here, they naturally didn't eat many people, so their strength couldn't be enhanced. During this process, Ryaji didn't encounter the little girl he had chatted up before. This made him feel a bit strange. Because he was searching the entire mountain for demons to kill, he should have had a chance to encounter her. After all, he had basically encountered everyone who came to participate in the selection, including Tanjiro. He had even encountered Tanjiro, but he couldn't find the little girl anywhere. When he encountered Tanjiro, he chose to avoid him, so they didn't actually meet. Because Ryaji had to let Tanjiro truly face the demons, and experience what he was supposed to experience. Soon, the night's hunt was over. As the sun rose, the demons that were still alive hid in Mount Fujikazan. Ryaji had spent the night clearing an area of 3 kilometers in radius. He estimated that the demons that were still alive had probably hidden in the deeper parts of Mount Fujikazan. Because of Ryaji's sweep that night, all the young men who came to participate in the selection gathered together and discussed the motivation behind his actions. Some thought that he did this because he hated demons so much that he was looking for them everywhere to vent his anger. Others said that he did this to attract the attention of the head of the Demon Slayer Corps so that he could get better treatment in the Demon Slayer Corps. Of course, there were all kinds of speculations. Ryaji's actions became the focus of these young men's discussions. Tanjiro, with Zenitsu, happened to run into these young men who were gathered together. Hearing them talk about Ryaji, Tanjiro asked about it. The young men saw that Tanjiro also had a disaster-averting mask similar to Ryaji's, so they naturally respected him very much and told him what they knew. "Tanjiro, your senior Ryaji is so cool. We're trying to hide, but he's actually searching the whole world for demons to kill." Zenitsu couldn't help but admire Ryaji after hearing about his deeds. Tanjiro ignored Zenitsu. After knowing about Ryaji's actions, he was also a bit shocked and puzzled. Why did Ryaji have to search the whole world for demons to kill? Couldn't he just survive for 7 days peacefully? Why did he have to torture himself like this? Or was he doing this to clear all obstacles for himself? 35, Chapter 35. Tanjiro, as long as Senior Ryaji kills all the demons on Mount Fujikazan, will be completely safe. Zenitsu was already fantasizing about this perfect ending. Tanjiro still didn't pay any attention to Zenitsu. After spending a night with him, Tanjiro knew that Zenitsu was not only cowardly but also a chatterbox. So, Tanjiro usually ignored Zenitsu's nonsense. However, after knowing that Ryoji was doing such a dangerous thing, Tanjiro started to worry about him. Zenitsu, we have to find Senior Ryoji quickly, Tanjiro said to Zenitsu at this time. Hearing this, Zenitsu was a little puzzled. He asked, Tanjiro, Senior Ryoji is searching for demons to kill. Why do we have to go and join in the fun? Maybe we'll even hinder him. Hearing this, Tanjiro knew that Zenitsu didn't want to go with him, so he didn't force him. He said, alright then. You stay with them. I'll go find Senior Ryoji alone. Seeing that Tanjiro was about to leave him behind, Zenitsu immediately became unhappy. After spending a night together, he had developed a certain affection for Tanjiro. He had also come to understand and trust Tanjiro's strength. Tanjiro, don't leave me. These people were all saved by Senior Ryoji. It's not safe to stay with them. If we really encounter a demon, they won't be able to protect me. I still have to find a girl to marry. Zenitsu immediately grabbed Tanjiro, preventing him from leaving. Zenitsu's words immediately caused dissatisfaction among the young men around him. Although he was telling the truth, they felt that even if they couldn't defeat the demons, it wasn't up to a coward to belittle them. You little brat, what did you say? Do you want to die? Coward, you're asking for a beating. You're a scaredy cat. What right do you have to say that about us, you coward? Countless taunts towards Zenitsu came pouring back. The cowardly Zenitsu immediately hid behind Tanjiro and said fearfully, Tanjiro, they're so scary. I don't want to stay with them. Seeing the situation, Tanjiro also knew that Zenitsu had been hated by these young men. Plus, what Zenitsu said was true. If it weren't for Ryoji's sweep and rescue yesterday, these young men who were recovering from their injuries here would have been eaten by the demons. So, if Zenitsu stayed with them, he would probably be bullied. Everyone listen to me. Since we've all gathered together, why don't we go find Senior Ryoji together? Tanjiro now had the idea of bringing this group along. If they all acted together, their survival rate would be higher. Even if they encountered a demon, they could look out for each other. Tanjiro's words made many people fall into thought. The atmosphere immediately became quiet. After experiencing a near-death experience, they had come to value their lives more. No one responded to Tanjiro's call. Everyone wanted to stay in the safe area marked by Ryoji and survive for 7 days safely. I'm injured. I'd be a burden if I go with you. Forget it. This was the first response from a young man with a serious injury. Hearing this, Tanjiro looked at the young man. His right forearm, which held the sword, was gone. The severed limb was simply bandaged with his clothes, and the bleeding had stopped. This was clearly caused by a demon yesterday. He was indeed not suitable to go with them to find Ryoji. 36, Chapter 36. Tanjiro nodded and didn't say anything more. After the first person spoke, the other young men who had suffered varying degrees of injuries all used this reason to refuse Tanjiro. In the end, only a few young men who were not seriously injured, who were courageous and had a strong will, chose to go with Tanjiro to find Ryoji. After deciding on his team, Tanjiro started looking for the only girl who had come to participate in the final selection. He searched several times, but he still couldn't find the girl. Was she not among these people? Where could she be? Or had something happened to her? Had Senior Ryoji not saved her? Tanjiro, overflowing with sympathy, couldn't help but worry about the girl. To find Ryoji faster, the group simply took a short break and then, taking advantage of the safe period during the day, set off to find Ryoji. In a deep cave that ran through the stone, in an incredibly dark environment, the demons of Mount Fushikazan were all gathered here. Although it was pitch black here, the demons' eyes could clearly see everything. A giant demon with a deformed body slowly walked into the center of this empty underground space. This demon was not only huge, but its torso was also covered in countless arms of various sizes. What's going on? Why are you all gathered in my mansion today? The demon, covered in arms, asked leisurely. Judging from its posture, this demon was undoubtedly the strongest demon on Mount Fushikazan. Han Demon Lord, a ruthless person came to the Demon Slayer Corps selection last night. Many of our brethren died at his hands. Yes. Han Demon Lord, we're no match for him. Please, Lord, come out and help us deal with him. Please, hand demon, Lord. Please, hand demon, Lord. After a demon explained the situation to the hand demon, all the demons gathered in the underground space began to plead with the hand demon to take action. Hearing this, the hand demon sneered and said, "You're a disgrace to demons. You can't even deal with a little kid. You're useless." A little kid who came to participate in the selection. How strong could he be? Why don't you all work together to kill him? Faced with the hand demon's question, all the demons below were silent. In front of the hand demon, who was stronger than them, these little demons naturally dared not disobey him. Because demons weren't as harmonious as they seemed. If they were careless, these weak demons could be killed or eaten by the hand demon at any time. The air around them was silent for a while. The hand demon suddenly remembered something and asked, "Was the boy wearing a fox-shaped mask?" "Yes, hand demon, Lord. That very strong little demon did have a fox-shaped mask." One of the demons who witnessed Ryaji's massacre last night answered. Hearing this, the hand demon's sinister and eerie eyes suddenly became angry and ferocious. All the demons were frightened by the change in the hand demon's emotions, afraid that he would suddenly riot and involve them. A disciple of Seikanji? That old geezer. The hand demon said venomously. 37, Chapter 37. The hand demon hated Seikanji Urokadake so much because he was imprisoned on Mount Fujikazen thanks to Seikanji Urokadake. When it had just become a demon not long ago, the hand demon was captured alive by Seikanji Urokadake and brought back to Mount Fujikazen. It became the examiner for the final selection on Mount Fujikazen. Because of its resentment, the hand demon had eaten many young men who came to participate in the final selection on Mount Fujikazen, including Seikanji Urokadake's early disciples. Because of this, the hand demon became the strongest demon on Mount Fujikazen and lived to this day. Tonight, all demons will go out with me to exterminate that little demon. We'll wipe out this selection group. The hand demon immediately issued an order to all the demons gathered there to encircle Ryaji. Long live the hand demon, Lord! Long live the hand demon, Lord! Long live the hand demon, Lord! Cheers from all the demons echoed in the underground cave, which was more than 10 meters deep. Ryaji, who was eating dry rations under the shade of a tree, didn't know that his actions had already caused the demons on Mount Fujikazan to resent him. He had become the target of their encirclement. At this time, Ryaji was still waiting for nightfall to continue completing the mission assigned to him by the system. Tanjiro, on the other hand, was searching for Ryaji, unaware that his actions were slowly bringing danger closer to him. Nightfall. Ryaji, leaning against the shade of a tree, opened his eyes and stood up. The super-dimensional transmigration system's radar small map had also appeared. Ryaji didn't see any red dots on the map. He guessed that the demons would still need some time before they came out to be active. Tanjiro, on the other hand, had been going deeper into Mount Fujikazan, mistakenly believing that Ryaji was deep in the mountain to kill demons. He didn't know that Ryaji had been resting in the safe area marked with water ripple marks after killing the demons that night and hadn't chosen to go deeper into Mount Fujikazan. Therefore, Tanjiro and Ryaji were completely separated. Tanjiro, do you think Senior Ryaji is deliberately hiding from us? We've been looking for him for a whole day, and we still haven't found him. What if we encounter a demon later? Zenitsu complained, feeling tired. Tanjiro's expression was solemn. He didn't answer Zenitsu's words. Until it got dark and they still hadn't found Ryaji, Tanjiro began to doubt that his decision might have been wrong. If he went so deep into Mount Fujikazan, would he be able to handle any accidents? Just as he was doubting himself, Tanjiro's nose smelled a very strong scent. This scent was the scent of a demon. Something's wrong, Tanjiro said in a deep voice. As soon as Tanjiro spoke, Zenitsu immediately hugged him tightly and shouted, "Tanjiro, you're going to scare me to death." Tanjiro was a bit helpless, but he was already used to Zenitsu's reaction, so instead, he carefully sniffed the scent. He discovered that the source of the scent was rapidly approaching their location. As the scent got closer, it became extremely complex. It wasn't the scent of just one demon, but of many demons. "Run down the mountain," Tanjiro shouted immediately. He couldn't hesitate for a moment. His sense of danger made him make a decisive decision. However, as soon as he finished speaking, before anyone could move, several dark figures leaped out from the trees, blocking their path. 38, Chapter 38. Really, it's happening. Tanjiro. We're really going to be eaten. Zenitsu cried out in despair, terrified. Tanjiro's face was solemn. He pulled Zenitsu off of him and shouted, "Zenitsu, snap out of it. Now is not the time to be down. Quickly hide behind me." The other young men who were with them also clenched their jaws. They were incredibly desperate, facing 5 demons at once. They had almost lost their lives to just one demon. Now, facing 5 at the same time, they were afraid they would be eaten to the bone. There are more behind Tanjiro. Zenitsu screamed at the top of his lungs. This was the first time in his life that he had faced so many demons at once. Screaming, Zenitsu finally couldn't take it anymore and fainted. Tanjiro turned around and saw that there were several demons behind him as well. We're really going to die here. The young men who had followed Tanjiro to find Ryaji looked desperate. Tanjiro hadn't expected Zenitsu to faint directly from this situation, but he didn't have time to worry about him too much now. He could only kick Zenitsu with his foot and shout, "Zenitsu, wake up. Now is not the time to sleep." However, what Tanjiro did didn't wake Zenitsu up. After trying and failing, he had no choice but to ignore him for now. Fox Mask. It seems we've found him. The demons surrounding Tanjiro and the others laughed sinisterly. Hold them off. Wait for the Hand Demon Lord to come and deal with this guy. Another demon said. On the other side, Ryaji went deeper into Mount Fujikazan, but after a long time, no demons appeared on the small map. This made him feel strange. Did his actions last night scare the demons? Were they not daring to come out now? Ryaji had no choice but to continue going deeper to see if the demons were hiding in the deepest part of Mount Fujikazan. Ryaji didn't know that because of him, Tanjiro and the others were in a very dangerous situation. Tanjiro also didn't know that Zenitsu, who was following him because he was scared, was actually a key factor in turning the tide for him. Tanjiro, surrounded by demons, felt an invisible, immense pressure pressing down on him. Cold sweat was dripping down his forehead. For a long time, Tanjiro noticed that these demons didn't seem to have any intention of attacking. It was as if they were waiting for something. His instincts told him that he had to break this stalemate quickly, otherwise, the situation would only become more dangerous. Calming down, Tanjiro began to adjust his breathing. At the same time, he drew his sword from its scabbard. The demons surrounding Tanjiro and the others saw that he had drawn his sword and immediately retreated a few steps in fear. Tanjiro clearly saw the demons' actions. He was stunned for a moment. Were they afraid of him? If they were afraid of him, why were they blocking his path? Tanjiro's mind raced, and then a flash of inspiration came to him. He suddenly understood. These demons weren't afraid of him. They were actually afraid of his senior brother, Ryaji. Clearly, Ryaji's massacre last night had left a shadow on these demons. 39, Chapter 39. These demons were acting collectively in such an unusual way, clearly targeting senior Ryaji, and they had mistaken him for Ryaji. Tanjiro quickly figured out the reason why they had mistaken him for Ryaji. It was the fox-shaped disaster-averting mask that was similar to Ryaji's. Tanjiro's mind raced, and in just one breath, he understood the reason and came up with a bold plan. I'll create a bloody path for you. You guys quickly carry Zenitsu and run down the mountain. Tanjiro whispered to the young men who were with him. Hearing this, the young men quickly retreated behind Tanjiro and carried Zenitsu on his back. Just as Tanjiro and the others were making a move, the demons saw their intentions and Tanjiro's hesitation. The demons behind them immediately attacked those who weren't Tanjiro. 10 demons pounced on Tanjiro and the others. At this critical moment, Tanjiro remembered Ryaji's encouraging words and gained confidence. He successfully activated water breathing, third form, flowing dance. Water breathing, third form, flowing dance. Using footwork to attack the enemy while moving quickly, the smooth and flowing movements are similar to dancing, hence the name flowing dance. As Tanjiro activated water breathing, third form, flowing dance, his figure moved like flowing water, quickly weaving through the crowd. As the demons approached, Tanjiro's Nichiren sword slashed down along the line of emptiness. The blade's light and shadow flickered across the eyes of each demon. As the light and shadow dissipated, the heads of the 10 demons, were all severed by Tanjiro. Looking at the 10 demons, whose heads he had just severed, Tanjiro's excitement couldn't be calmed for a long time. He had actually done something he thought he couldn't do. Because of Ryaji's presence, Tanjiro's halo had always been overshadowed. He had always doubted himself. Just as Tanjiro was shocked by his own actions, a dangerous sense suddenly stimulated his nerves, bringing him back to his senses. "Run!" Tanjiro shouted immediately. Then, everyone started running down the mountain. They hadn't expected Tanjiro to be so strong. But then again, Ryaji and Tanjiro were from the same school. How much weaker could Tanjiro, as his junior brother, be? Just as they had just run off, a large group of demons chased after them. Their imposing presence was like a death knell. Tanjiro took a chance to look back and gasped. He roughly counted at least 50 demons. These demons were like rabid dogs, chasing after Tanjiro and the others frantically. "Senior Ryaji, is this the trouble you've caused? You're really going to kill us?" Tanjiro ran wildly, complaining in his heart. If he had known this would happen, he shouldn't have gone to find Ryaji. Now, he was being mistaken for Ryaji by these demons. Just then, the young man carrying Zenitsu tripped while running, and Zenitsu fell to the ground with him. The young man instinctively tried to stand up again, but the pain of his sprained ankle stimulated his nerves, making it impossible for him to stand up for a short time. Tanjiro stopped abruptly, but the other young men didn't stop. They continued to run down the mountain. Tanjiro knew he couldn't call them back, so he ignored them and turned back to rescue the injured young man and the unconscious Zenitsu. Chapter 40. As Ryaji went deeper, he noticed a small red area on the small map. Looking closely, he realized that it wasn't a red area but a large cluster of red dots. Because there were too many red dots, it looked like a red area on the map. But it was clearly unusual for so many red dots to gather together. If the map wasn't showing a problem, then the demons on Mount Fushikazan were all gathering together. Why would these demons suddenly gather together? After observing for a few seconds, Ryaji noticed that these red dots seemed to be moving quickly, as if they were chasing something. "It seems I need to check out the situation," Ryaji muttered to himself and then sped up towards that place. On the way, he encountered the young men who had abandoned Tanjiro and the others. Seeing them running wildly as if they were escaping, Ryaji stopped them. Seeing Ryaji, wearing a fox-shaped mask, appear in front of them, they all stopped. Because Ryaji had saved them, they recognized him immediately. "What happened?" Ryaji asked directly. "Senior Ryaji, your junior brother, Tanjiro, is in danger. Many demons are gathering together. You have to go save him." The young man didn't waste any words. He simply explained the situation clearly in one sentence. Although there were many details missing, they weren't important. What mattered was that Tanjiro was in danger. Ryaji didn't ask any more questions. He instantly disappeared in front of the young men. Then, he rushed towards the place where the red dots were gathered at the fastest speed. Tanjiro was about to help Zenitsu up, but the demons had already pounced. The young man who had sprained his ankle beside Zenitsu seemed to have accepted his fate of going to drink tea with the King of Hell. He said to Tanjiro, who was trying to stop him, "Don't worry about us. Go. Otherwise, you'll die here too." But Tanjiro didn't listen to the injured young man's words. Driven by kindness, he still charged forward. However, he was still a step too slow. The tide of demons immediately engulfed Zenitsu and the injured young man. "No." Tanjiro couldn't accept this fact. He shouted out. The next moment, a flash of yellow lightning. The tide of demons that had engulfed Zenitsu and the injured young man was blown away. Tanjiro looked closely and saw that Zenitsu had stood up, with a faint glow of lightning around him. The tide of demons was blown away, but more demons immediately pounced forward. Zenitsu's eyes were closed, and he was already in a posture ready to draw his sword and attack. Thunder breathing, first form, thunderclap and flash. Zenitsu muttered as he breathed in and out. In an instant, he flashed like lightning. The demons that were pouncing again died under Zenitsu's sword. Tanjiro was stunned. Even the injured young man was dumbfounded. No one had expected that the cowardly Zenitsu would have such strength hidden within him. After a brief moment of shock, Tanjiro knew that Zenitsu alone couldn't turn the tide, so he immediately went to Zenitsu's side and launched a follow-up attack during Zenitsu's attack. Water breathing, 4th form, striking tide. 41, Chapter 41. Water breathing, 4th form, striking tide. Slashing out a wave-like blade path, launching continuous, uninterrupted strikes against the enemy. It can be used against multiple enemies and is a technique that can inflict area damage on the enemy. In a moment of urgency, Tanjiro used the 4th form of water breathing. The Nichiren sword that Seikanji Urokadaki had given him created faint, visible waves as his arm moved. These waves were the water rhythm generated by water breathing. "Take your chance and get out of here," Tanjiro shouted to the injured young man, enduring the pressure as he slashed at the approaching tide of demons. Although the situation was temporarily under control by Tanjiro and Zenitsu, there were simply too many demons. The situation would be out of control again soon. Seeing that the situation was temporarily under control, the injured young man gritted his teeth and stood up, enduring the pain in his ankle. Then, he limped towards a safe place. However, there were simply too many demons. One that had escaped the net immediately tackled the injured young man to the ground again. No. Tanjiro wanted to withdraw to help the injured young man, but as soon as he was distracted, the situation began to spin out of control. Several demons had already bitten onto Tanjiro's legs, causing him to gasp for breath uncontrollably. "It's over." Tanjiro felt despair in his heart. Zenitsu, on the other hand, was dodging the demons' attacks with his agile figure. Thunder breathing, 1st form, thunderclap and flash. Thunder breathing, 1st form, thunderclap and flash. Thunder breathing, 1st form, thunderclap and flash. However, as Zenitsu continuously unleashed thunder breathing, 1st form, thunderclap and flash, his stamina was quickly depleted. Finally, after his 4th attack, he inexplicably fainted again. Just at this critical moment, Ryaji arrived in time. Water breathing, 3rd form, flowing dance. Ryaji, who had arrived in the nick of time, used the 3rd form of water breathing, flowing dance, which Tanjiro had used before. Compared to Tanjiro's flowing dance, Ryaji's flowing dance was more decisive and swift. His speed was also a level higher than Tanjiro's. Water breathing, 4th form, striking tide. While using flowing dance, Ryaji also used the 4th form of water breathing, striking tide. Using both techniques simultaneously required precise control of breathing and a smooth transition in the rhythm of breathing. The demons surrounding Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and the injured young man were completely shattered by Ryaji's offensive. After temporarily controlling the situation, Ryaji grabbed the injured young man and threw him forcefully to a distance. Then, he used the same method to throw the unconscious Zenitsu. Finally, he came to Tanjiro and asked, "Are you alright, Tanjiro?" Tanjiro shook his head. Despair gave way to hope in his eyes. He also felt relieved. "Tanjiro, regain control of your breathing. The battle isn't over yet." Seeing that Tanjiro's injuries weren't serious, Ryaji reminded him to regain control of his breathing. Tanjiro, regaining control of his breathing, quickly re-entered battle mode. The blood from his wound also stopped flowing under the suppression of his breathing. Ryaji's intervention caught the demons off guard. Feeling the aura emanating from Ryaji and witnessing the deaths of their brethren, many of the demons became rational and afraid. 42, Chapter 42. The numerous demons who were extremely afraid of Ryaji didn't continue to attack him and Tanjiro. Instead, they gradually surrounded them, and they were trying to shrink the encirclement. Seeing this, Tanjiro couldn't help but ask Ryaji, "Senior Ryaji, what do we do now?" Seeing the group of demons gathered together, Ryaji couldn't help but curve his lips and smile faintly. "Of course, we kill them all." Ryaji was already eager to take action. Just then, the demons forming the encirclement parted a path. Just as Ryaji and Tanjiro thought that the demons weren't going to let them go, the hand demon, whose body was huge and completely deformed, slowly appeared in their line of sight. Tanjiro gasped. This was the first time he had encountered a demon that was so huge and whose appearance was so deformed and ugly. What had this guy gone through to become this disgusting? The appearance of the hand demon made Ryaji secretly become more vigilant. If he were facing the hand demon alone, he wouldn't be so cautious, because he was confident in his ability to kill it. However, the current situation was clearly not in their favor, so Ryaji had to be cautious. He. Seeing Ryaji and Tanjiro, who were wearing disaster-averting masks, the hand demon sneered and said, two little foxes, huh? Is Seikanji afraid I'll starve? He 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 he. After saying that, he sneered again. Ryaji couldn't stand the hand demon's laughter. Without saying a word, he launched an attack. Water breathing, 11th form, water shadow slash. This 11th form technique was a technique that Ryaji had created himself in the past 2 years based on the characteristics of the Demon Slayer sword and his understanding of swordsmanship and water breathing. Water breathing, 11th form, water shadow slash. The user must have a deep understanding and comprehension of water breathing and reach a certain level of control over the water rhythm to activate this attack. This attack can target enemies within 50 meters of the user. This range is the effective attack range of Water Shadow Slash. Ryaji's Demon Slayer sword, which was in its scabbard, instantly unsheathed and then returned to its scabbard. A sharp water blade slashed towards the hand demon's neck. The hand demon hadn't expected Ryaji to attack him without getting close. He was surprised and quickly shifted his huge body, using his arms to protect his neck. As a result, Ryaji's attack only severed a few insignificant arms of the hand demon. Seeing Ryaji use a technique that he didn't know, Tanjiro was deeply shocked. Tanjiro knew that Seikanji Urokadaki had taught him that the basic techniques of water breathing only had 10 forms. As for the subsequent techniques, they could only be created through one's own understanding of water breathing and their own habits and characteristics when their own realm reached a certain level. He hadn't expected that Ryaji had already created his own 11th form in just 2 years of learning. Tanjiro's admiration for Ryaji was completely engraved in his heart at this moment. Your laughter is really ugly. Don't let me hear you laugh again, or I'll kill you. Ryaji said coldly. 43, Chapter 43. Hearing Ryaji's domineering words, the hand demon immediately became enraged. You little bug. You dare speak to me like that. As expected, a disciple of Seikanji is someone I absolutely despise. The hand demon roared. Just as the hand demon was about to regenerate the arms that had been severed, it discovered that its wounds didn't seem to be healing and growing quickly. What's going on? Why aren't my wounds healing? What did you do to me? The hand demon became a little scared. So, you're a coward too. Are you afraid? Ryaji didn't explain anything to the hand demon but continued to taunt him. Damn it. I'm going to kill you. Kill you. Unforgivable. Unforgivable. The hand demon began to lose control. The out of control hand demon immediately devoured the surrounding demons frantically. Seeing that the hand demon was mercilessly eating even its own kind, the other demons immediately scattered. Ryaji didn't stop the demons who were running for their lives, because it wasn't time to deal with them yet. Since they had run away, it was a good thing for him. If these demons united, that would be the worst thing. The demons that didn't run away immediately became nourishment for the hand demon to become stronger. In just a few seconds, it had eaten more than 10 demons. Although demons mainly ate humans, they would also eat their own kind sometimes. Just like the hand demon's situation now. To more safely deal with the strange Ryaji, it could only choose to eat its own kind to become stronger. However, under normal circumstances, demons wouldn't choose to eat their own kind. After all, they were all the same. There was no need to kill each other. Most importantly, eating humans was much easier than eating demons. If they ate demons, they might even be eaten back. The hand demon, having absorbed more than 10 demons, became even more deformed. Its size also increased dramatically, and the number of arms on its body also increased significantly. Even the wounds that hadn't healed before healed instantly. He. The hand demon, having gained strength, sneered again with pride. Ryaji felt annoyed. Tanjiro, find a place to hide and look for a chance to strike decisively. I'll deal with this disgusting guy for now. Ryaji didn't waste any words and instructed Tanjiro. Hearing this, Tanjiro didn't have any objections. He reminded Ryaji, Senior Ryaji, be careful. The reason Ryaji said this was to give Tanjiro a chance to perform. If Tanjiro could find an opportunity before he dealt with the hand demon. If the hand demon hadn't enhanced itself by eating its own kind, Ryaji wouldn't have made Tanjiro hide. Instead, he would have let Tanjiro face the hand demon alone, while he dealt with all the other demons. However, the situation developed beyond Ryaji's expectations. He hadn't expected the hand demon to pull such a stunt. Fortunately, the hand demon actions had driven away all the other demons. So, the hand demon was naturally not something Tanjiro could deal with now. Because if Tanjiro faced the hand demon in its current state, there would only be one outcome: death. 44, Chapter 44. After Tanjiro finished speaking, he immediately hid in the forest. Seeing this, one of the hand demon's arms instantly elongated like a sharp arrow and shot towards Tanjiro's back. Ryaji immediately drew his sword and slashed, severing the hand demon's arm that was attacking Tanjiro. "You're facing me now," Ryaji said calmly. "You little." The hand demon was so angry at Ryaji's arrogance that his teeth were itching. He wanted to tear Ryaji's tongue out and torture him bit by bit. Die. Countless arms on the hand demon's body suddenly shot towards Ryaji. Ryaji immediately leaped into the air. Many of the hand demon's arms didn't have time to change direction and hit the ground, causing it to explode. Another arm that had changed direction shot towards Ryaji in mid-air. Water breathing, 8th form, waterfall basin. Water breathing, 8th form, waterfall basin. A powerful downward slash with immense power. Form: a waterfall basin activated by a master will form a water dragon with the water rhythm. A waterfall basin activated by someone who is not a master will form a powerful water current with the water rhythm. Ryaji used water breathing, 8th form, waterfall basin. He swung his demon slayer sword heavily downwards. In the next moment, a blue water dragon, like a dragon emerging from the sea, bit towards the numerous flying demon hands. Wherever the water dragon went, demon hands were severed. Ryaji's body, due to the immense inertia, fell heavily towards the ground. In this gap, he launched another attack. Water breathing, 2nd form, water wheel. Ryaji spun in mid-air, and the demon slayer sword in his hand drew a circle as he rotated. On the arc of the blade, sharp water blades generated by the water rhythm appeared. Finally, Ryaji, accelerated by his attack, quickly returned to the ground. Ryaji, having cut off many of the hand demon's arms, thought that the hand demon would lose its chance to continue attacking because its wounds couldn't heal quickly. However, the hand demon's severed arms began to wriggle and swell violently, and they grew back again. This situation surprised Ryaji slightly. Had the demon slayer sword's properties failed? Why wasn't the hand demon's healing ability being suppressed at all? No. Ryaji, with his keen observation skills, quickly noticed something unusual. The hand demon's arms had grown back, but it wasn't instantaneous. It took about 3 seconds. Most importantly, the hand demon didn't look very comfortable healing its wounds. It seemed that it wasn't that the demon slayer sword hadn't exerted its properties, but that the hand demon's healing ability was too strong. Therefore, the suppressing effect of the demon slayer sword was extremely weak. Clearly, the hand demon, having eaten more than a dozen of its own kind, had improved in all aspects. If the demon slayer sword was like this, then the Nichiren sword would be even more helpless against these demon hands. 3 seconds? Tanjiro, can you seize this 3-second window? Ryaji murmured to himself. Although I don't know what kind of sorcery you used to make my wounds so difficult to heal, your sorcery is no longer effective against me. The hand demon laughed proudly. 45, Chapter 45. With your current attack, you can't hurt me at all. He. You'll end up like Seikanji Urokodaka's previous disciples, becoming nourishment for my growth. The hand demon, knowing that he was no longer afraid of the demon slayer sword suppression, returned to his arrogant demeanor. His sneer echoed through the forest, making Ryaji extremely annoyed. He immediately roared coldly, "Stop TMD laughing. Don't think this is all I've got. If I really wanted to kill you, you wouldn't even have the right to speak. Laugh your sister's laugh." The reason Ryaji was so annoyed was that the hand demon's laughter was truly too unpleasant. It was so unpleasant that Ryaji couldn't bear it. Ryaji's words, filled with anger and extreme arrogance, stunned the hand demon. It could be said that in all the years he had been on Mount Fujikazan, no one he had encountered was as arrogant as Ryaji. Even Seikanji Urokodaka's strongest disciple, the young man who had almost killed the hand demon, wasn't as arrogant as Ryaji. Die. The hand demon, once again stimulated by Ryaji, lost control. Even denser attacks flew towards Ryaji. Ryaji became serious this time. His entire aura sank, and then he charged towards the countless demon hands that were attacking. Water breathing, first form modified, water surface slash chain slash. When Ryaji was half a meter away from the demon hands, he suddenly stopped abruptly. Then, he slashed out dozens of times with his demon slayer sword in the blink of an eye. This modified first form, water surface slash chain slash, was a technique that Ryaji had obtained by modifying the first form. It was another form of releasing the original technique. Compared to the previous water surface slash chain slash had a significant increase in the number of slashes, but its power had also decreased to a certain extent due to the increase in the number of slashes. It could be said that the previous first form, water surface slash, could kill the enemy in one blow. However, it also had a clear disadvantage, which was that it couldn't launch a second slash. Although water breathing, fourth form, striking tide, also had an area damage effect, the number of slashes and the speed of the slashes were not as numerous and fast as Ryaji's modified water breathing, first form modified, water surface slash chain slash. Striking tide focused on killing the enemy. Even if one mastered it, they could only strike at most 5 targets simultaneously. So, striking tide couldn't deal with the hand demon's extremely dense attack pattern. Water surface slash chain slash, on the other hand, focused on restraint. A master could slash dozens of times in a short period, parrying the enemy's dense attacks. Of course, if water surface slash chain slash was used against a single target, the terrifying swordsmanship could also achieve the effect of killing the enemy. In just a few seconds of confrontation, Ryaji had already slashed nearly 40 times. Such dense slashes caused Ryaji's stamina to drain quickly. His arms were also under immense strain. It could be said that if the strain was any greater, even Ryaji's hands would be ruined. Tanjiro, can you seize this 3-second window? Ryaji couldn't help but murmur to himself. If Tanjiro couldn't seize this opportunity, he would have no chance. Because Ryaji couldn't use the first form modified, water surface slash chain slash twice in a row. 46, Chapter 46. Seeing that his attacks couldn't do anything to Ryaji, the hand demon couldn't help but feel fear towards him. However, although the hand demon knew that he couldn't defeat Ryaji, Ryaji couldn't defeat him either. If they continued like this, Ryaji would definitely be the one to suffer in the end. Because Ryaji's stamina was limited, but for the hand demon, it wasn't a factor. As long as Ryaji ran out of stamina, the final outcome would be the same as the previous little demon. He would become nourishment for its growth. He. Thinking of this, the hand demon couldn't help but sneer secretly. Soon, all the arms on the hand demon's body were severed by Ryaji. Ryaji's attack stopped. At this time, Ryaji's breathing was slightly heavy, but he still maintained the frequency of water breathing. His right hand, which was holding the demon slayer sword, was drooping because of temporary weakness. Most importantly, his drooping arm was trembling slightly. Tanjiro, who had been hiding in a tree nearby, witnessed the entire duel between Ryaji and the hand demon. Seeing that Ryaji could still handle such a dense attack with ease, his strength was truly far superior to his own. The confidence he had gained earlier gradually dissipated as Ryaji's strength was revealed. Just as Tanjiro began to lose confidence, Ryaji's words echoed in his mind again. Then, Tanjiro suddenly realized. He had never been denied by Senior Ryaji or Master Seikanji Urokadake. Since Seikanji Urokadake and Ryaji, who were stronger than him, had both expressed their confidence in his strength, why should he doubt himself? Tanjiro, now it's your turn to show what you can do. If you can't seize this opportunity, then I'll have to use my ultimate trump card. Ryaji, whose hands were already weak, couldn't help but start counting down. 32. As Ryaji counted down, the hand demon's severed arms began to slowly grow back. The hand demon hadn't expected that Ryaji would sever all its arms. It would take some time to recover. At this time, the hand demon, without its hands, looked like a deformed blob of flesh. Seeing Ryaji standing quietly in place, his right arm trembling constantly, the hand demon knew that he was at his wit's end. He couldn't help but laugh triumphantly. Haha, he. As he laughed, the hand demon's laughter suddenly turned into a sneer. Now. At this moment, Tanjiro leaped from the tree, his entire body filled with killing intent. He flashed towards the hand demon. Water breathing, first form, water surface slash. The moment Tanjiro got close to the hand demon, the Nichiren sword in his hand slashed towards its neck. Faced with Tanjiro, who had suddenly attacked, the hand demon was immediately flustered. It wanted to dodge and counterattack, but because it was just a blob of flesh, it couldn't make any movements. Soon, Tanjiro's Nichiren sword landed on the hand demon's neck. Tanjiro thought that the Nichiren sword would be able to cut through the hand demon's neck smoothly, but the blade didn't cut through it. Die! Tanjiro shouted, immediately putting more force into his arm. Clang, crack. With a crisp metallic sound, the Nichiren sword blade unexpectedly broke at this critical moment. 47, Chapter 47. Tanjiro hadn't expected his Nichiren sword to break. He was stunned for a moment. He. My neck has been specially reinforced. Your sword is broken. You have no chance. The hand demon, seeing Tanjiro's Nichiren sword, immediately began to enjoy the joy of victory. It was as if Ryaji and Tanjiro had completely become its meal. Ryaji, seeing that Tanjiro's Nichiren sword had broken, didn't hesitate. He immediately threw his Demon Slayer sword. Tanjiro, catch it. Ryaji reminded him. Tanjiro, seeing the Demon Slayer sword flying towards him, immediately reached out to catch it. The hand demon, seeing this, his face of victory immediately froze. You won't get away with this. The hand demon sneered and forcefully condensed an arm. The arm clenched into a fist and flew towards Tanjiro's head. This move was the final blow the hand demon had used to kill Seikanji Urokadaka's strongest disciple. Because the young man at the time, like Tanjiro, had encountered a broken Nichiren sword after slashing the hand demon's neck. So, the hand demon wanted to use the same method to kill Tanjiro in one blow. Die! The hand demon said venomously. Tanjiro, seeing the demon hand flying towards him, didn't feel any fear or panic. Instead, he took a deep breath and actively bumped his forehead against the demon hand's fist. Bang! There was a dull thud. Tanjiro's forehead collided head-on with the demon hand's fist. Tanjiro's headbutting advantage was revealed at this moment. The hand demon's fist didn't cause any harm to Tanjiro. Then, Tanjiro turned around and caught Ryaji's Demon Slayer sword in his hand. Next, Tanjiro used the demon hand as a horizontal bar. He grabbed it and swung, landing on the demon hand. Finally, Tanjiro moved along the demon hand towards the hand demon's neck. Water breathing, first form, water surface slash. Tanjiro, holding Ryaji's Demon Slayer sword, activated water breathing, first form, water surface slash, once again. The next moment, Ryaji's Demon Slayer sword, in Tanjiro's hands, landed on the hand demon's neck again. It's useless. You couldn't hurt me the first time. The second time will be the same. Ha ha ha. Having experienced the first result, the hand demon wasn't panicked this time. It felt that even if Tanjiro was given a second chance, the result wouldn't change. This time, I'm going to crush your head completely. Just like that guy. You don't have a chance. This time, I won't let down Senior Ryaji's trust in me. Tanjiro had a belief in this attack. With Tanjiro's unwavering belief in the sharpness of the Demon Slayer sword, as soon as Tanjiro finished speaking, the sword cut into the hand demon's neck, splashing water. Impossible. The hand demon, feeling the blade cutting into its neck, was immediately panicked. Die! Tanjiro roared. As the water splashed, the extremely sharp blade of the Demon Slayer sword cleanly severed the hand demon's head. Tanjiro, having cut off the hand demon's neck, fell to the ground due to the acceleration of gravity. The hand demon's head, separated from its body, rolled to the ground due to gravity. It's over. 48, Chapter 48. The tense atmosphere eased instantly. Tanjiro had successfully severed the hand demon's head. This was completely expected by Ryaji. Because Ryaji had confidence in Tanjiro's strength and his Demon Slayer sword. The reason Tanjiro's Nichiren sword had broken before was simply that the sword itself wasn't strong enough. It wasn't a problem with Tanjiro's technique. If the hand demon hadn't gotten stronger by devouring a large number of its own kind, Tanjiro's initial blow would definitely have severed its neck. Because Tanjiro could even cut through a giant rock. Even if the hand demon had deliberately strengthened the hardness of its neck, it was far less hard than that giant rock. The hand demon's severed head showed an expression of unwillingness and anger. Damn it, damn it, damn it. It's so frustrating to have my body destroyed and disappear little by little. Because it had received a fatal blow, the hand demon's huge body began to gradually collapse and dissipate. After severing the hand demon's head, Tanjiro's expression became kind again. The air was filled with a sad aura, causing Tanjiro to sigh. What a sad smell. God, please, when this person is reborn next time, please don't let it become a demon again. Please. Tanjiro stood in front of the hand demon's huge body, which was disappearing, and held its dying, unwilling to dissipate, demon hand, praying. As Tanjiro finished his prayer, the hand demon's body and head completely disappeared from the world. Ryoji watched Tanjiro praying for the demon's afterlife in silence. He didn't want to say anything about Tanjiro's sentimentality, because that was just his personality. After a brief rest, Ryoji's hands gradually recovered. He then walked towards Tanjiro and came in front of him, praising him. Tanjiro, good job. Senior Ryoji. Tanjiro looked at Ryoji and called out to him. Then, he showed a faint smile similar to Ryoji's. It seemed that after spending so much time with Ryoji, even his smile was a bit similar to Ryoji's. Your sword, Senior Ryoji. Tanjiro returned the Demon Slayer sword to Ryoji. After taking the Demon Slayer sword, Ryoji said, Tanjiro, your Nichiren sword broke. From now on, you should just stay in a safe place. Leave the rest to me. Senior Ryoji, are you going to kill more demons? Tanjiro asked. Ryoji nodded. Although the strongest hand demon on Mount Fushikazan had been dealt with, his mission wasn't over yet. There were still many demons that had run away during the battle waiting for him to clear. Don't worry. The strongest demon on Mount Fushikazan has been dealt with by you. The rest of those second-rate guys won't be able to threaten me. Ryoji continued. Then I'll wait for you to come back. Tanjiro didn't interfere with Ryoji's choice and didn't choose to go with him because his Nichiren sword was broken. If Tanjiro's Nichiren sword hadn't been broken, he might have chosen to go with Ryoji to kill demons. Without a Nichiren sword, no matter how strong Tanjiro was, he wouldn't be able to cause any harm to the demons. Even if he followed Ryoji, he wouldn't be able to help. Soon, Ryoji and Tanjiro separated again. Ryoji seized the remaining time, according to the small map's prompts, to continue completing his cleanup task. 49, Chapter 49. After separating from Ryoji, Tanjiro headed down the mountain. On the way, he ran into Zenitsu, who had been thrown by Ryoji and was unconscious. Tanjiro quickly went to Zenitsu and helped him sit up against a tree trunk. Looking at Zenitsu, Tanjiro smiled helplessly. This guy was hiding his true strength well. If it hadn't been for Zenitsu, Tanjiro probably wouldn't have been able to hold on until Ryoji arrived. Zenitsu, wake up. Are you all right? Tanjiro gently patted Zenitsu's face. Awakened by Tanjiro, Zenitsu moved his eyebrows and slowly opened his eyes. Tanjiro, did you save me? Zenitsu's vision was blurry. After recognizing Tanjiro, he asked slowly. At this time, Zenitsu felt sore all over. He had no strength in his body. No, it was Senior Ryoji who saved us. Tanjiro answered. Really? That's great. Zenitsu said, relieved. Zenitsu, can you walk? We have to leave here quickly and go to a safe place to wait for Senior Ryoji. Tanjiro asked again. Zenitsu tried to move, but he found that his body was weak and he couldn't stand up for now. He could only shake his head helplessly and said, Tanjiro, I don't think I can stand up. Am I going to spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair? I haven't gotten married yet. What are you talking about? You're probably just exhausted. I'll carry you away. Tanjiro saw that Zenitsu was rambling again and couldn't help but smile wryly. Then, Tanjiro didn't waste any words. He carried Zenitsu on his back and ran down Mount Fushikazan. On the way, Tanjiro ran into the young man who had sprained his ankle. Because of his sprained ankle and being thrown hard by Ryoji, the young man moved very slowly. That's how the three of them reunited. Seeing that Tanjiro and Zenitsu were both safe, the injured young man knew that Ryoji must have defeated those demons. Thinking back to the group of demons at that time, the injured young man still felt a chill down his spine. How strong was Ryoji to be able to handle that situation? You guys are all right. That's great. My name is Shinji Murata. I'm alive thanks to you and your senior brother. Shinji Murata, the injured young man, was filled with emotion because he had escaped death. I don't want to see you get hurt either, Shinji. Let me introduce myself properly. My name is Tanjiro Kamado. The person I'm carrying on my back is Zenitsu Agatsuma. Tanjiro also introduced himself and Zenitsu to Shinji Murata. Shinji Murata looked at Zenitsu and recalled his outburst during the crisis. He no longer looked down on the cowardly young man, because at that time, if it hadn't been for Zenitsu's outburst, they probably wouldn't have been able to hold on until Ryoji arrived. So, the three of them were alive because of Tanjiro and Zenitsu. Shinji, do you have any older sisters or younger sisters around your age? Can you introduce me to them? Zenitsu asked Shinji Murata. Hearing this, Tanjiro and Shinji Murata both smiled wryly. They both knew what Zenitsu was thinking. He had been constantly talking about how he hadn't gotten married and didn't want to die while searching for Ryoji. He actually had his sights set on Shinji Murata now. They really didn't know what to say. Chapter 50. Zenitsu, I'm sorry. My family only has my brother and me. My brother's name is Shinichi Murata. He joined the Demon Slayer Corps a few years ago after passing the selection. Shinji Murata explained the situation to Zenitsu and introduced his brother by the way. Then your brother is really amazing. He actually passed the test. If it weren't for Tanjiro and Senior Ryoji this time, I think I would have died here. Zenitsu said with emotion. Hearing this, Tanjiro and Shinji Murata both felt that Zenitsu was playing dumb. They had both witnessed Zenitsu's strength. The demons that had died at his hands, roughly estimated, should have been more than 10. With such a record, he actually said that he would have died without Ryoji and Tanjiro. That was only a lie to fool those who didn't know. If it hadn't been for Ryoji's sweep, the demons on Mount Fujikazen wouldn't have gathered in such a large scale tonight. So, under normal circumstances, Zenitsu's displayed strength would have been enough for him to survive for 7 days on Mount Fujikazen. Tanjiro and Shinji Murata both felt that Zenitsu was deliberately pretending to be weak, so they didn't intend to expose him. By the way, Tanjiro, where's Senior Ryoji? Zenitsu finally noticed that Senior Ryoji wasn't with them. Hearing this, Shinji Murata also noticed that Ryoji wasn't there. He was curious. Where had Ryoji gone? Senior Ryoji went to kill more demons. According to the trend last night, Senior Ryoji should be planning to clear all the demons on Mount Fujikazen. Tanjiro didn't hide anything. He told Zenitsu and Shinji Murata where Ryoji had gone. Hearing this, Shinji Murata sincerely felt awe towards Ryoji. How much did Ryoji hate demons? It had to be said that having strength meant being able to do whatever you wanted. Then, the three of them came to a forest with water ripple marks that Ryoji had left behind. This was the safe area that Ryoji had marked. Tanjiro and the others stopped their journey and chose to rest here for now. After the hand demon died, Ryoji became the nightmare of the demons on Mount Fujikazen. The surviving demons no longer came out to hunt but chose to wait for the selection to end so they could send off this great god, Ryoji. So, the hunt that night turned into a game of hide and seek. Fortunately, Ryoji had the small map to guide him, so finding demons was relatively easy. However, compared to last night, his efficiency was much lower tonight because the demons were hiding in more secretive, remote places and were very scattered. Over the next few days, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Shinji Murata reunited with the main group. After several days of recovery, the spirits and complexions of these young men had improved significantly. Because they hadn't encountered any demons in these days, the shadow the demons had cast on them had also faded. Seeing Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Shinji Murata reappear before them, these young men showed a hint of surprise. The young men who had stayed in the safe area had heard from the first few who had escaped back about Tanjiro's encounter. Seeing that Tanjiro and the others hadn't returned that day, they thought they had perished. They didn't expect them to come back now.
Every novel listed in the description comes with permanent access to the audiobook on Telegram. You pay once, and if the novel is still ongoing, you'll receive all future updates automatically. No extra cost. Choose your novel from the description, then DM me on Telegram, WhatsApp, or Discord. After payment via PayPal, Ko-Fi, or Patreon, you'll get instant access. Simple, secure, lifetime listening. Guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Your support means a lot.